There we go. There we go. Hey, everybody. Welcome in. Pugs Moran here. Noon talk, not partisan. Don't care how you voted. You shouldn't care how I voted. Hot topics, trends, current events from a working man, peasant class perspective. Hey, what happened to my chat room? Hold on. There's my chat. There's my coop. And my chickens have gathered. Live from the Kelly Moore Memorial Studios here on Radio Misfits, radiomisfits.com. Yes, we have a chat room, and every day, first thing, we like to reward those who are lined up, like we're doing a sale at 10 a.m. when we open our doors. We like to reward the first three. We treat it like an F1 podium. We call it the podium. Although is there a more coop-specific term? The cock of the, I don't know. I'm going to leave that to you guys. You're far more creative than I am. Here we go. Here's today's podium, the very first person to cross through the chat room. All right, hold on. Yeah, there we go. Mikey D. Look at him. Look at him go, everybody. It's Mikey D. It's Mikey D, and he's saying howdy. And we say howdy back to you, sir. And there she is. It's Taronda. Like right behind Mikey D. Hey, peeps. And there he is. The guy everybody loves to hate. He's War Devil. War Devil? War Devil. He's War Devil. That's right, the Dark Lord himself. Byron is third. Thank you, folks. We appreciate you. That's your podium for today. Mikey, Taronda, and Byron. Thanks, guys. Thanks, guys. Well, Mikey's got some news. Mikey says he's back for a few days, and Austin will actually bass drop for work. Got out before the flooding started, really. Oh, yeah. I'm not there. You guys got flooding, right? Yeah, down there in Texas. All right, well, get them hip waders. I don't know. I don't know. I feel like I grew up in a place that floods, but I don't know. I mean, I know like the Mississippi would flood, but that's hundreds of miles away from where I grew up. That's like, I got to drive to get there. Anyway, who else do we have in the chat room here in the early goings of today's day? We got Jen. There's Jen. We've got Barney's. We've got Mama B. We got we've been missing quite regularly a number of people, a number of important chickens who gathered every day. It's summer though, right? That's why July. It's July. People are stepping out. People are living their lives. I guess I'm not a part of some people's everyday life. You can take me with you. I don't give a shit if you're on a canoe somewhere on a lake in Oklahoma. I'm sure they got Wi-Fi. I'm sure. Well, actually, I shouldn't say that because as I've learned recently in talking to a friend of mine who is in Wisconsin, the Wi-Fi, I guess we haven't federalized the Wi-Fi yet, huh? Not important enough to us? When are we going to do that? When are we going to make federal? When is just Wi-Fi going to be? Can't Elon do that? Can't Elon just make a thing where just he flips a switch and everywhere in this country has Wi-Fi? That'd be great. But no, it's 2026, and my friend who's like in the middle of Wisconsin, it's talking like in each kind, trying to, and then it did that thing, and I'm like, fuck, Wisconsin doesn't have full coverage. Anyway, but the Chinese are really close to perfecting the sex robot, so we're gonna have that. It's not all a failure. 32-foot surge in parts of hill country, Mikey says down there. All right, that's not good. That's not good because I don't know what is surging. What body of, I live in the Great Lakes. You tell me something surging, I'm thinking, is it the Great Lakes or is it the Mississippi? What is surging outside Austin? I guess they've got rivers. Couple rivers, right? Couple? I don't know. Oh my God, I wish I enjoyed the Guadalupe more. All right, let's see. We got a bunch of stuff that I want to get into today. Okay, we're gonna talk about. Trump's gonna have a talk today. I don't give a shit what he's talking about. Okay, I like this John Ossoff guy. I like him, and I think maybe this speech is because a lot of people recently saw the way he's been handling himself and think, hey, I kind of like that guy. So whatever tonight's speech is supposed to be about, John Ossoff didn't win. The election was screwed. What? we're going to talk so much about that, but we are going to talk about how you can watch it, how it is being put out there, who's going to be airing it, who has not committed to airing it, and those who may be making that decision here live as we stream. Got it on a ticker right here. I'm watching for it. I'm looking for alerts. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about his speech. We also, we're going to talk a little bit about AI. I know I've been dancing in the AI thing, but my kid is like really, it's like now every day I'm like, that's interesting. I'm going to talk about that on my stream, like a moron. But I do want to get into the subject of data centers, because data centers, again, I say that this show, if it is nothing else, it is going to at least scream about the shit that affects the middle class, the regular folks. Data centers really seem to be a rising concern for a lot of people whose truly only lasting investment is their home, and what's going on around their home. And why is this suddenly a thing? Data centers. So we're going to talk about data centers. We're also going to talk about the people who run them, and why, according to the Wall Street Journal today, or I'm sorry, Washington. It's Wall Street Journal. Why all these AI execs are spending tens of millions of dollars on personal security. That's very strange. Anyway, it's let's just put the puzzle pieces together. We're not a conspiracy show. I like to think that I'm a pretty logical, middle of the road guy. But are we creating a God class? I guess is what I kind of want to talk about. And I think we are. I mean, when you create intelligence, when you create something, that is capable of functioning, and whether sentience being, the ultimate goal, I suppose, that's coming according to Battlestar Galactica. Anyway, that's what we're going to talk about. I want to get into some talk about these data centers and the AI people who are running them, and why they need them, and why they really don't give a shit about, you hearing that noise all night long, or how much your electricity bill is going to go up because, suddenly your little neighborhood is drawing like 100,000 times the amount of power it used to. The grid can't handle that, so now they got to build new grids, and they got to build new things. And who do you think pays for that? Your energy bill goes anyway. There's a lot to talk about there. A lot of people are upset, and nobody is listening to them. That's the thing. Nobody is listening to people. They're like, hey. All right. What else do I want to get into? There's I want to watch. Did you see the Helen Comperatore interview? She's Corey Comperatore. I don't know how to say it. I should. I'm re-binging The Sopranos with my son. I should know how to say that. Corey Comperatore. You know why I don't know how to say it? And it's going to be a big part of what we talk about here. Why do we forget certain names? Why have we why am I sitting here 2 years later struggling to remember the name of the man who was killed during the attempted assassination of Trump? Why have we forgotten that guy? Like, completely. His wife is talking. I think she should be heard. I think we should talk more about the dude, the citizen, who was just out there participating in the process and got his head blown off. Nobody. I can't even. Comperatore, right? That's it. And of course, when I say nobody, I know some people do, but it's just strange to me. We remember some names. People can tell you Luigi's favorite color. That's weird. All right, so I want to get into that story. I want to listen to a little bit of Helen Comperatore, and then we'll do all the other stuff. We've got a dick of the day. We've got, the 3 videos, 3 fun videos today. Unless you're an a-hole. If you're an a-hole, it ain't going to move you. But if you're a decent dude, you're going to be like, I like this. This is good. This makes me feel nice. Yeah, cute stuff in 3 videos. And a very special edition of Can't Beat Fun at the Old Ballpark. Excuse me. We're just going to revisit an era. I found a video that I found really entertaining. It's 10 minutes long. We're not going to watch the whole video, but I'll repost it on my Twitter if you want to follow me there at Pugs Moran, or Blue Sky, or basically anywhere you can follow me. I'll put it on everything. But it's like a 10-minute video that revisits the cocaine era of baseball, which was an era that I don't think we truly understood while we were watching these records being smashed and MVP crowns being awarded to dudes who were just Tony Montana type levels of cocaine. Anyway, we'll do that in today's Can't Beat Fun at the Old Ballpark. We'll revisit the cocaine era of baseball. But first, the big story. Hold on, I need a drink. My throat is still, well, we're starting to understand why I'm having difficulty speaking, and I'm a little bit, hold on. Now, I don't know if this is I don't know if any of this is affecting you guys there. We were talking about Mikey and the floods, right, down there in Texas. We here in Chicago, we can't breathe. Probably not a big deal. Probably, I mean, it's not to the point where we'll die, in 12 hours, but listen to my voice. So we have a situation going on here in Chicago and on the south side of Chicago that is going on pretty much all across the Great Lakes Iron Belt, anywhere that, can sniff Canada. Yeah, we're getting screwed over, man. Canada is just dropping this. There's forest fires like somewhere where Eskimos live. Somewhere like super far away in Canada, there's these big forest fires, and I don't know, the winds or the weather or whatever is carrying this shit, and it's just killing cities like Toronto and Chicago and Detroit and Cleveland and New York and Boston, and it's unbelievable outside. What do I mean by unbelievable outside? Well, it sounds like the world's largest bonfire is burning in everyone's backyard. Everyone's backyard. Texas, we know this. Texas has these terrible brush fires that, just make the air kind of, it smells like a fall evening, right? Because it sounds, fireplaces. No, this is different, man. This is like you walk outside and it's like, everybody's cooking bacon outside. Everybody's doing a pig roast at the same time. Because I got the Pope balcony. I've been telling you about the Pope balcony, man. I stepped out. First thing, my kid, when he finally woke up, I heard he was up. I went up, not finally. I shouldn't say finally. He's a teenager. He woke up at a reasonable hour. So I go up there and I go, you up? And he's like, yeah. And I say, something stupid. I'm like, stupid guy, stupid air, brown, stupid. And I say that shit. And he follows me out to the Pope balcony, and he's just like, holy crap, what is this? And I'm like, this is Canada's fault. We're blaming Canada, not God, Canada. As my good friend Ed said earlier on Twitter today, I can't vouch for the existence of a God, but I damn sure know that Canada is real. So we're going to go with Canada. Canada's to blame. And I'm stupid guy stuff because I go, do you know what this is? And I start to explain it in like stupid guy, like, whoa, cause forest fire, cause smoke and weather, wind blew it, and that's cause clouds and that's me. That's me like trying to explain it. And then little Poindexter is like, no, actually, what it is, it's about milligrams of particles that are currently in the air. And for people who are high risk, like grandma, what you're going to need is... I'm like, so why don't you come on and tell people about what's happening with the air here? So that's what we're going to do. We're going to put my son on the air. We're going to let him explain it to me because I didn't listen to anything he said. He started talking about like European measurements. I don't even know what that means. Okay, where's my kid? Let's see. Here he is. Okay. All right. I may at some point just have to hang up on him, right? Because, we don't need to be shown up by our kids in this way. All right, here we go. See if he answers. I mean, I know he's here.
Hello.
Hey, kiddo, how are you?
I'm doing just fine. How about yourself?
All right. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the bad toxic air. And as I was trying to explain it to you earlier, well, you kind of scoreboarded me a little bit and you kind of made me feel dumb.
Well, I truly didn't mean to. You were right about the broad picture of it all, about
forest fire. I was right about forest fire.
you were right about a lot of it. Mark Carney, his country's a tiki torch right now, so we're getting some of the blowback from it. So yeah, it's mostly just because of wind. Why all of these harmful chemicals are in the air. Now, I hesitate to say chemicals. What we have in our atmosphere, what is going to be most dangerous for people with pre-existing lung conditions like asthma, COPD, that kind of thing. It's going to be something called particulate matter. Now, what particulate matter is, it's
no, I love it. Keep going. I love it. I'm just keep going.
Okay. So it can be basically anything. It can come from vehicles, industry, power plants. It's anything.
But we know this is coming from Canada. We know where this is coming from. Okay.
No, yeah. But I'm just saying what it can consist of, like dust, chemical reactions, ash, that kind of thing in the air, like pollen, basically. Just it's worse for you pollen.
Okay.
So there are two types of size. We have the small particulate matters, which is the most dangerous kind. That's the kind that can get inside of your lungs and can cause horrible diseases. You can have horrible lung diseases, especially if the smaller particulate matter gets in your lungs. But the thing that's going to be worse for the older people, the people who already have those issues.
All right, this is what we're interested in. Okay, this is because we should be able to survive this, right? It's just going to smell like.
Fine.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll just smell like a bonfire for a little bit. We're gonna be fine, but the older people with pre-existing conditions need to be on the lookout for larger particulate matter. That's going to be called PM10. So PM10, it's exactly in the name. It is about 10 microns, about the size of a crumb.
All right, wait. What's a micron?
It's a unit of measurement.
What country? That's not an American unit of measurement.
You think it's not like it's not customary.
All right, never mind. Keep going. Whatever.
Yeah,
let's not get hung up on. Let's not get hung up on American inconsistency. Go ahead.
Yeah, but we that the bigger particulate matter that's what you want. It's about the size of a crumb, and it may not sound bad, but once those get inside of your lungs, they can stay there, and you can actually go into the emergency room for stuff like this.
Oh my God! A pretzel crumb once almost took down a president of the United States, George Bush.
Yeah, it's same principle, exact same principle here. Right. So just be on the lookout. Anyone listening, older people with asthma, COPD, pregnant people, people with obesity, smokers too. Everyone just be sure to keep Fido inside for a little bit.
Oh, dogs. Oh, we got to worry about our dogs with this brown air. Okay.
Yeah. Dogs too, especially because with their heightened sense of smell, with the amount they use their nose for, they will be taking in more of these chemicals than us. Oh. So just be aware. Just wait for this to pass. It is wind, like it is going to be moving through us.
Hold on. Time out. Oh. That you just hit me with something, because I'm like, whatever, measurements, blah blah blah. I never thought about that, but your dogs especially, who are taking in way more, because that's kind of the whole thing about being a dog, is that being able. Wow, I never thought about making sure that your dog is protected from this, even more so than humans.
Oh yeah, well, because the way they cool down, they pant, and by extension, they're hyperventilating, right? So they're taking in these short bursts of oxygen, like hundreds of times in a minute, and we only take how many breaths would you like? We only take like 50 to 60 breaths a minute.
Who thinks of such things? I don't know.
I'm just saying it's just going to be more of a risk for animals, especially dogs, cats, that sort of thing. Birds too, flying animals.
Okay. All right. Well, I don't much care for birds. How my bunny's going to be? Yeah. By the way, you're an eyewitness to my magical powers over my.
I think you just give them food and they like you.
Jesus, man! I have so little. How about mini golf? How about mini golf?
I could do that to a homeless person.
Will you at least give me credit here in public for being the best mini golf player you've ever seen?
How can I do that when we're 1-1?
Oh, Jesus. All right, just forget about the most recent. Would you not agree that I am particularly skilled in the art of mini golf?
I think that in your youth, you decided to perfect that specific skill,
Yeah. Okay.
and it is translated
Right.
into your older years.
You know what? I'm going to take that. Sadly, there was no Olympic event for putting. If there was,
You would if there was, you'd be there.
life would be different. Life would be way different.
Life would be different.
I'd be a gold medal mini golf champion right now, and I'd probably have a sports radio show in the city of my choosing. Yeah, right. All right.
Let's not get too ambitious.
All right, let's not. All right, thank you, kiddo. So we're okay, but once again,
we're fine.
pets.
Well, I mean, everyone should minimize their outdoor activities today. Stay inside. Don't really go out unless you need to. Like, obviously, like going to the grocery store, the corner store real quick, pick something up. That's fine.
But don't do your 3 mile jog today. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't go on your backpack retreat today with your coworkers. That's not what you're going to want to do.
All right. Thank you, kiddo. There he goes.
Thank you, Dad. All right. Thank you for having me on.
All right, bye. Love you. Yeah. I don't know. He just seemed to know like way more about what was going on. I thought I was exciting him. I'm like, hey, wake up, check it out. The world's ending. Like I wanted to be the guy to tell him. He's like, well, actually, see, here's what's happening. And we don't need to worry about this so much. I'm like, no, I just wanted you to go, it's brown and smells cool. That was the response I was looking for. No, all right. So anyway, brown air, it's going to be around for how much longer here, at least in the Midwest? What are we looking at? And by the way, I'd like to give you the current temperature. Current temperature is 91 degrees. Let's compare that to Dallas, because I am always at 85 once again, 2 days in a row. Chicago, the rare time when Chicago is warmer than Dallas. Yeah, you're getting rain there in Dallas. It says mostly cloudy. 92 and have you ever seen this? 92 and maybe we have, but 92 and smoke. All right, smoke them if you got them. Damn tobacco lobby. Subliminally infiltrating I don't even know what this is. The weather that comes on my phone for free, I assume. I don't know. All right. Yeah. Like, thank you, April, and thank you, Kevin, for saying nice things about my kid. We had another pretty rough fight last night, man. We are fighting about the most absurd stuff, and he knows how to trigger me. Like, he just knows how to like get me to just lose my shit. Like, he knows what he can do that will, and only with him. Like, I nobody else could trigger me this way, but because it's him, it's like I seem to react. So last night we had a pretty ugly fight. Now we always fix it, or at least try to in some way, before we go to sleep. But last night's fight concerned another episode of us doing the airplanes. I don't know that we can do the airplane game. Now, the airplane game is we go out on the Pope balcony at night when it's dark, and we open up an app called Flight Radar 24. And we live right next to Midway Airport. So we get all of this airport action. So we've created a game where we can sit up on the comically high Pope balcony that overlooks much of the land, the disputed land, because it's kind of like part of the Midway Triangle where Midway Blitz, the ICE and Homeland Security thing took place. Anyway, the disputed lands, we can look out over the disputed lands, but we can also see all the airplanes. So I've created a game where I open up the Flight Radar 24, and I click on a plane, and it tells me where it's coming from or where it's going, and then we do a guessing game where, what city is this from? And he'll say, do they have an NFL team? And I'll be like, yes, they do. And he continues. We just keep having fights about cities, man. I don't know how to fix it. We keep having fights about cities. Stupid shit. Like last night, the fight was over, whether or not Washington, D.C. was a city or was it just a district. And then there was like a fight we had over Milwaukee, cool or not. Seriously, that's what the fight was about. Is Milwaukee cool or not? Anyway, I love him. He's so smart, and I don't know. He's pretty funny. All right. Anyway, yeah, this might be it. She says, Apes says Gen Z's favorite hobby is to trigger their parents. I don't think that's exclusive to Gen Z, though. I'm pretty sure we knew how to trigger our parents too. Hey, Mom, hey, Grandpa, want to watch this New Boy George video? Thinking of getting my hair like that. Stuff like that. We knew how to do it. Adam says, I don't know, is this going to trigger me? Had to look it up. I'm curious. Apparently, you basically divide your resting heart rate by 5, and that's the average number of... Oh, thank you, Adam. This is actually a cool contribution, and not one intended to make me act like a child. Had to look it up. I'm curious. This is the question of how many breaths you take. How many breaths you... Had to look it up. I'm curious. Apparently, you basically divide your resting heart rate by 5, and that's the average number of breaths you take per minute. So my 49 resting heart rate equals 10 breaths a minute. Okay, we could do math, or I could just sit here for a minute and count my breaths. I can do that. No, but thank you, Adam. That's helpful, and I have no clue what my resting heart rate is. Corpse. I think that might be my resting heart rate. Corpse. Signed out. Said that I signed out here. Google. Hey, you know that document you've been working on since 8:15 this morning? Yeah. Well, you've ignored it now for the last 20 minutes, so we're just going to pretend you were never here. Thanks, Google. Appreciate you. Hold on. Watch this totally be the wrong password for this account. That's pretty awesome. I can't remember. I nailed the first password first try. That is such a rarity for me. Such a rarity. All right, let's talk about what's happening in the world today. We covered the air quality. Let's talk about a Washington Post and Ipsos poll that is very interesting. It was released today, and I want to talk about this first because this is the shit that affects us. I honestly, right now in the moment, I don't really care about what's happening in the Strait of Hormuz. I assume people who know what they're doing will figure it out. Oh God, listen to me talking like it's 1998. When I still felt like experts were calling the shots and not some guy who used to do weekends on Fox. All right. A new Washington Post and Ipsos poll was taken on groceries. And you know me, I'm an avid shopper. I love to shop. I am super good at shopping. I should shop for borderline poor people. Like, as a poor person, I should shop for people who are just slightly wealthier than me, want to maximize their shopping, don't have the time. I can do that. I can shop for them and save them. I don't know. I'm just good at it. Oh. Sorry, guys. Seriously, I just feel, you can feel the oxygen that is, well, I'm in air conditioning. So, but anyway, I apologize for my voice. I'm really struggling today. I've been struggling the last couple of days, but today, whoo, boy. All right. So this poll was on groceries and how Americans feel groceries are going. You know, I love to grocery shop. I was grocery shopping just yesterday. I bought chicken. I bought Jewel chicken. Jewel chicken. If you guys don't know about Jewel chicken, well, maybe you have better chicken. I don't know. Jewel is our grocery store chain here in Chicago, and they have chicken. They've really leaned into chicken. Like, they've made chicken, like, you know, people go to Jewel just for chicken, which is kind of crazy. Like, I know Kroger does chicken and all that stuff. It ain't the same. It ain't the same. Jewel has some, you know, signature Jewel chicken. So I bought a bunch of that yesterday. I went shopping. Anyway, in general, the Washington Post and Ipsos conducted this poll. They found that Americans are feeling worse, far worse actually, about the price of groceries than they were before the war with Iran began. Really? You don't say. It's like, do we honestly need it to be codified in the Washington Post? We all feel it. We've been feeling it for months with gas prices that, you know, They tease us with the memo and the prices will come down. So don't hate us quite as much today because the prices are coming and then the prices don't come down because we're still at war and now it's worse than ever and gas prices are expected to soar again and they are now. And yeah, fucking ground beef is like 12, 11 bucks, whatever it is for two, whatever. I was like, I can't afford that. We're going to eat pork. Hey, do you got any of that pork mixture with ground beef that, we peasants try to pass off as hamburger helper? That's what you got to do. You got to like mix this. Oh, God. Anyway, yes, Americans are a little bit upset. And hopefully, not you, not my chatters. Hopefully, my chatters are doing fine. But according to this new poll, in just a few months since before the war started in February, Americans now, two-thirds of Americans, 66% of them, it says Americans are feeling worse about the price of groceries than they have or than they were before the war began with Iran. Two-thirds or 66% of Americans say they would describe the cost of groceries as unaffordable. This is up sharply from the 45% who said the same thing in February before the conflict started. So, I mean, I seem to remember shit kind of not being great for a couple of months. Like, I remember Christmas, shit was really more expensive, especially for someone who struggles like me. So I don't know that there was this grand enthusiasm for these incredibly low grocery prices back on February 27th. I don't know. I think it pretty much sucked. I think that's why talking about groceries has become such a big part of my daily rant, because I have been so consistently. So, okay. So let's say the starting point was 45% back in February. 45% of Americans said that groceries were unaffordable. 45%. Okay, so it wasn't the best of times. 45%. Now 66%. Same poll, same question. 66% of Americans say that groceries are, unaffordable. Partisanship continues to play a big role in the perceptions, with half of Republicans saying groceries are fine. Half of Republicans saying groceries are affordable, compared with about 1/4 of independents and Democrats. So half of Republicans are like groceries are fine, and then 1/4 of Democrats and 1/4 of the all-important independents are like, yeah, okay. So they're the majority of independents and the majority of Democrats are like grocery prices are too high. So, kind of a big issue, you would think. Also, what appears to be the reignition of whatever is happening. I don't know that it ever really stopped the war with Iran, but certainly some form of reignition. That's kind of a big thing. These ICE murders and the seeming miscommunication or lack of clear messaging between Homeland Security and the president. Homeland Security says we're going to stop these street pullovers, and Trump says over my dead body, right? So what is that? That's very important. What's going on? A lot of Americans have questions about that. Groceries, Iran, ICE, immigration, just the overall ennui. I don't even know that ennui is a good way to describe the overall vibe of the Americans. I know that's what I've got. I'm tired of it. Maybe just address that. But no, President Trump's going to talk today about the election fraud of 2020. And we're going to talk about who is and who isn't going to cover it, because the other day, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez stood on the steps of Congress and chastised the American legacy media platforms, saying that it would be immoral of them to carry Trump's speech. She was talking about ABC News, NBC News, CBS. She's talking about CNN. She's talking about Fox, MSNBC, the traditional ones. And what she's specifically talking about there is breaking in, like when you talk about ABC. Like, what are they going to do? They're going to interrupt Dancing with the Stars, Is that what's going? Is that the level of this speech? So I think that she was talking about that. I said, and I still believe, first of all, I don't know what is considered moral and immoral now, at least by the mainstream in 2026 America. So don't, please, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, I don't know what that means. I know what it means to me, but I don't know what it means to you, because I sure as shit don't know what it means to the person standing next to me on the bus. Things that I find absolutely reprehensible about modern American life. People are just like, that's how it is. So I voted for it. So don't talk to me about morals. Don't talk to me about what is right, what seems to be. It is morally improper, whatever she said. I don't remember what it was. And I said, no. You know what I think is more important? I think it's more important that the American people in a representative democracy get to hear absolutely everything, the good, the bad, the ugly. However, she's right. ABC doesn't have to interrupt, Dancing with the Stars. The Voice doesn't need to be preempted on NBC, all right? What certainly should not happen tonight, and I've already discussed what I see as the immense frivolity of tonight's speech. It's got to be available somewhere, and that's fine. And I assume that, if you're a fan of, him, you can find it probably streaming live on the Real Donald Trump Network. And above and beyond that, the White House, whitehouse.gov, has to make it available on their stream. C-SPAN is going to be making it available on their stream. But again, ABC, NBC, CBS, come on, man. You guys don't treat this like it's the Bay of Pigs, all right? It's exactly what they want. Who's they? I have no idea who they are. Anyway, let's look at this. I want to go through who the committeds are, where you can definitely see the speech, and who has said they will not be carrying the speech, and who is non-committal as of right now, 12:47. Let me ask. Hold on. Hi, AI. Is there any update to this list? Have any of the platforms that were uncommitted, have they committed, or have they made any kind of a statement? Is there any update to this list? There you go. My son hates me right now. My son hates that I just used AI, and I'm going to look like the biggest hypocrite you ever did listen to in a couple minutes when I take down AI. All right. Here's the update. Major traditional television broadcast and cable networks continue to withhold confirmation of whether they will preempt their primetime schedules to carry President Trump's address live. Network executives and representatives for ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox News, CNN, and MSNBC have explicitly declined to comment or have not responded to ongoing media inquiries regarding their broadcast lineups. They don't want any part of it. That's where, you know what? No. Don't call them back. No comment. Just get back to them tomorrow and be like, wait, what was that about? Sorry, it's July. Everybody was on vacation. We couldn't get back to you. What did you need? That's all they got to do. And that's what it seems like they're doing. All right. The networks, it says, are facing immense external pressure. High-profile political figures such as Rep. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez have publicly stated that media platforms have an ethical obligation to review the material first and refuse live airtime if the speech is not rooted in verified evidence. All right, but this is a special occasion for this, right? Because no president has ever had to clear we want to go live on all the networks. I used to watch The West Wing. All they do is CJ would call the networks. You didn't need a copy, but I guess we do live in special times. See, maybe let's normalize this now. Every speech has to meet the approval of Barry Weiss. Come on. No, it doesn't need to be. We interrupt this program to bring you that. It doesn't need to be that. It doesn't need to make, your grandma mad because, The Voice was interrupted. I don't even know what network TV airs anymore. It's all reality shows, right? With like mid-tier celebrities judging up-and-comers. That's pretty much what network TV is. All right, says here, let me go to the original list since it said that there doesn't seem to have been any movement here. Platforms that are carrying the speech confirmed where you can find the president tonight. White House, whitehouse.gov. There you go. Because we the people and shit. That's seems right. You can find it there at the White House's YouTube channel. Dude, like it or not, he's the president, okay? C-SPAN. C-SPAN's going to air it. Full, uninterrupted live coverage will be provided on air and via cspan.org. So just go to C-SPAN. This is the interesting one. So ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, they've all got their head in the sand like ostriches. They won't get back. They're like, yeah, we're not going to say if we're airing it or not, which probably means they're not. So all of those legacy media institutions, if you will, are the ones that are running from it. You know, it's like, yeah, we'll air it. PB friggin' S. PBS is going to be airing. You know why? Crafty bastards. Because they're all about the history. They know that there are going to be like endless documentaries made in the future. And yeah, they want to hold rights to some of the foundational evidence about what a loony fucking time this is. That's what PBS is doing. They're like, yeah, we'll air it. Well, but when we air it, that means that we'll own our airing of it, right? So for perpetuity, anything in the future that needs to require, hey, remember when the president was this nuts? So anything in the future they'll have to pay us, cool. PBS is doing that. PBS, they're gangsters, man, with their tote bag bullshit. They'll try and make money anyway. That's what they're doing, I'm telling you. PBS is looking at this down the road. Why is PBS airing it? Well, PBS is all about making money. And somebody went, hey, we should own the rights to our own footage of this. That's good. Anyway, we are gonna want to talk about this in the future. Let's go all in and save some money. Clever accountant will be able to show that as a profit this year, I'm sure. Alternative digital networks will also be. So PBS has got, you know, whatever your local PBS station is and NPR radio stations and all that, they'll be covering it tonight. Alternative digital network outlets like the National Desk are streaming it. So it's going to be streamed all over. A lot of people are streaming it. These are the platforms that have not cleared lineups and are now considered unlikely to carry the speech live. Says here, as of this afternoon, traditional network executives are weighing the risk of amplifying election falsehoods, or they just know that this is not something they need to interrupt Dancing with the Stars for. All right, AI getting a little political. I know it's right. I know that's really why, but as of this afternoon, traditional network executives are weighing the risk of amplifying election falsehoods against the public's need to know. Don't like that, and I don't like that notion at all. That the media, although they do it every day. What am I talking about? I don't like the notion. See, we've normalized that. The only information that we got for 100 years in this country was decided by about 5 people in an editorial room at the New York Times. Every newspaper in the country followed those leads. Whatever it was that they decided was the top 5 or top 10 stories of the day. That's how it worked. We had gatekeepers. We don't have that anymore. We got it all over. So to that point, actually, I don't know what that point was. I have no idea what that point was. Major broadcast networks, ABC, CBS, and NBC, have not cleared lineups and are unlikely to carry it live. Major cable news networks, such as CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, and MS Now, are also in this group. All right, so there you have it. President's going to speak tonight. I don't even know what time. I got to be honest, I want to watch it. I want to watch it live. My son wants to watch it live. You know, I think this could be, I truly believe that this is going to kind of be an historic moment. I think that, not for the reasons I believe some people think it's going to be an historic moment. I think it's going to be a historic moment just because what we're going to see coming from behind the resolute desk in the Oval Office, if that's where he does it. Does he have the balls to do whatever nonsense he's going to pull tonight from the Oval Office? Or is even the most wicked of minds advising him right now, do it where you walk down the hall to a podium. Do it like that. That's the best, but not from the Oval. I want to do it from the Oval Office. we just hung all this gold lame. The glue hasn't settled, Mr. President. Do you know how much fun they'll have with you online should one of these gold lame, cheaply assembled and no bid contract installed things should fall while you're speaking live? Oh, they'll laugh at you. See, that's how they'll get them. So we'll probably get Trump walking down. No, because he's going to drag his foot. Can't walk down. Where's he going to be? Wheel him out like Hannibal Lecter. Stephen Miller, like, just wheels him down like Hannibal Lecter and then props him up. I don't know. I know it's going to be nonsense unless he talks. See, he could save it. Like, he could, like, now suddenly just be like, we're at war. Here's what's happening. There's been a lot of talk about boots on the ground. That's a very big topic this morning. Will we be sending our troops to fight in the desert? Trump's like, we might have to. I mean, I know that he says shit just to gauge the reaction, but you're going to give a speech about 2020 when that is what we all want to know where your head is at? God damn. So, here's hoping that the man, at least addresses that shit. No, you know what? I don't have any hope for him even. You're going to have to suffer with prices for a while for America to own the libs. But hey, how about that trans ruling I got you on the Supreme Court, huh? How about that? Who says I don't do anything good? Did you see the reflecting? Oh, never mind. It's fucking silly. All right. What else do we have here? We've got this story. He might want to answer for this too today. This is brand new. CNN investigative reporting has revealed and released today that Donald Trump promoted companies on his Truth Social, his platform that everybody retweets and amplifies everything. The president of the United States promoted companies that just weeks earlier he had bought significant amounts of stock in. What's wrong with that? That's normal. That's normal now, right? That's what? The president can't make. Lib, you communist. President can't make money off the office. President can't make money off the office. Oh, is that what you're saying? Oh, okay. That's what we're seeing. That's kind of the vibe that's starting to pop up. And it's like, what? That's normalization. That's normalization. Enough people say it, and people who want to believe it feel comfortable repeating it. We've got normalization. Oh, what? You can't make money as president? So what? His kids are making billions. They're his kids. They have nothing to do with the government. It's just also icky. It's also fucking shady. And it's also obviously a long con by this family to, I think their desires are to completely root themselves within the fabric of this nation and rework it to their tastes. Flash forward to 150 years from now when, Archibald Donald Trump V is the Lord Protector of, the northern continent, whatever. Fuck. It's so weird. It's also weird. It's also unlike anything that I've ever experienced before. Again, I keep going back to my formative president was Ronald Reagan, and I may not have agreed with him politically on a whole lot of shit, but my God, at least he set the template for what my expectation of the dude to just act like. Fuck. President Donald Trump hopped on Truth Social last year to share some very big and exciting news. NVIDIA, the computer chip manufacturing behemoth, had just announced plans to build AI supercomputers in the United States. All necessary. Here's what he said. Quote, all necessary permits will be expedited and quickly delivered to NVIDIA and similar companies, Trump vowed in an April 15th, 2025 post to his more than 9 million followers. What the president didn't disclose at the time was that days earlier, he had purchased between $200,000 and $500,000 of the company's stock. A CNN investigation has found that Trump has promoted more than 20 companies on his Truth Social account days after buying stock in those firms. What? Oh, so? Fucking CNN. Oh, you believe fake news? They just made this up. They just made it up. Come on, guys. Stop it. This guy was barely a billionaire. When he ran in 2016, this guy was promoting himself as like, a billion, but he wasn't. They were like, oh my God, with his debt, he's at probably like 500 million, maybe at best. He's actually at a deficit when you consider the great amounts of debts and looming lawsuits and all. He's not a billionaire. He is now. This dude's going to leave office. He's going to leave office with like Putin type money. And it's been normalized. It's not something that, the president of the United States. Remember when they used to get criticized for making speeches post-presidency? How dare he? How dare Bill Clinton make $150,000 for a lunch speech? How dare he? What happened? What do we do now? Now it's like, what, president can't make money? No, the president can't. See, because president has ultimate influence over things. Again, goes without saying, right? Apparently, we really do have to write everything specifically down because the loophole hunters are out there in force all the time. They're called lawyers. So there you go. Trump bought a bunch of stock. I don't even want to go into that story. Here's another one that I found interesting today from the Wall Street Journal. I won't bore you with the details, but it talks about how AI executives are now fearing for their lives. The AI backlash has tech executives fearing for their lives. Violent threats against AI companies are rising and spilling over into the real world security situations. All right, so this story from the Wall Street Journal, which I will not bother you with, it just goes on to talk about how these guys, these like tech billionaires, they're like creating these personal like armies, these protective forces. They're not building them for what are they doing they've got a lot of fear because a lot of people are trying to kill them because a lot of people don't think AI is great, and a lot of people, and I'm going to float this for you right now, see this as human beings elevating themselves above the rest of us because they have cracked the code on how to create intelligence, artificial or not, sentient, of course, being, I guess, the great bar, but they are creating forms of existence that are replacing, or as they might say, as they're on their way to the trillionaires meeting, truly changing humanity for the better. They're all about change. I don't know. Growing up and in the 90s, before there became a conspiracy theory industry, there was always fun talk about an Illuminati and about, the Rothschilds and, it began with the Medicis and, this concept that there is a small group of powerful European families that essentially make all the decisions. Who will be president of the United States while the Illuminati decides, or whatever you want to call them, right? So there was this sort of fun little conspiracy theory perception that, they make all the shit. They do all the big decisions. It's depicted in movies, right? It's always a bunch of old people in hoods gathered, in shadows. You have to go in front of the Supreme Council. But I never really thought, and I don't even know that we've ever gotten, any kind of, I don't know that that's true. I mean, what I do know that's true is that we have suddenly a whole bunch of very young men, and I suppose some women, who are now making money at a rate and in a way that no human has ever made money before. And they are a very small group of people, and they do seem to be uncomfortably close with one another. A super class, a god class. You better believe that their little fucking poker games in Aspen or wherever the hell they hold their little clandestine meetings. If you think I'm crazy, I mean, a lot of these meetings have been documented. There is a super class that we have allowed to rise, and they are now controlling everything. And suddenly they're starting to look around and go, they're on to us. So they're building personal armies, not to fight one another, not to defend against some encroaching nation. No, because they're scared of us, because they know that some of us have figured out what's going on. A joke about the Hunger Games. joke about idiocracy. But are we 200 years away from a Hunger Games type scenario? Are we 25 years away? I guess that defines whether or not you're a crazy person or somebody who is actually looking at how this slippery slope happens. I'm an optimist. I have a 17-year-old son, and I see a horizon where maybe the sun will rise again. So maybe I'm a bit more in the camp of that could be us in 300 years than I am. We're just 2 elections away from Hunger Games. Right? I think that might be a crazy person. Anyway, a lot of this has to do with what has been happening over the last number of years with AI. The slow roll of acceptance, the little 1 bit at a time rollout that got, people. Your grandma loves Alexa. Your grandma loves it. She's had it for 10 years. So I love Alexa. AI helping with term papers, AI helping workers, nurses or whatever who are, overwhelmed with these filling out prescription requests and all this. They now got AI, and boom, look at that. AI does it all. And of course, at some point, you probably realize that they're not going to always need me to sit here and press that button. That button can probably be done remotely, and one person could probably press 1 billion buttons at once, or one robot, or whatever you need. Anyway, there's very real, very serious things that are happening in this particular time. And I don't subscribe to an end of days belief or anything like that, but I do think that there is a shift happening now that a God class has figured out how to replace everybody with things of their own creation. So let's talk about data centers. Okay. Now, all of this happens with data centers. Maybe you've been hearing about data centers in your local news. There's always some far off, suburb in Serbia where the people are up in arms about a data center that's suddenly ruining everyday life in their once quaint and peaceful community. Data centers are essentially these gigantic buildings that are going up all across this country in empty fields and, out by where grandma lives now, places like that, that are used. Well, here, I'll tell you, just pull it up because they're big computer places for computer AI cloud storage, because we're all using AI now, because we're all the rapid expansion of the data center industry, fueled heavily by a boom in artificial intelligence and cloud computing, has created a complex web of economic benefits and intense local friction across the country. Communities where data centers operate or are proposed are confronting a sharp divide between corporate promises and the daily realities of local residents. So what we're seeing happening is these aforementioned gods who are creating this new form of helper, let's call them, a new form of helper to replace the stuff that the rest of us do, enriching them in the process. So they need these gigantic behemoth cloud storage data blah, blah, centers all over the country in order for them to fulfill their goals. What are their goals? I don't know. I'm not smart enough. Maybe get my son on the phone and let him rant on this. And trust me, he can, because I've heard his data center AI rants. And that I find very pleasing. Because again, he seems to be a leader among his clique. He seems to be somebody of influence, and he doesn't hang around with the ostracized weirdos. He seems to be a part of the mainstream. And if he is that comfortable and that vocal, and it seems to me that the other kids around him who would be representative of, very diverse school he goes to, very diverse school he goes to. Yeah, privacy being privacy. I don't know. I think there's reason that we older folks can go, okay, the kids got this. Seriously, the AI shit that we just can't even comprehend. The kids got it. They're on it. Let me show you a map. This is a map of proposed and current data centers here in the United States. We're going to look and pay particular attention to two areas, the areas that I'm, in right now, Chicago here, the Great Lakes, and North Texas, because North Texas and Illinois are two completely different things here. The Texas is Wild West for business, baby. What do you need? What do you need? How much you gonna? Well, look, Ken Paxton, he's running against that tranny Christian pretend guy. He's going to need some contributions. So maybe you get your data center here in Forney. There's a lot of bullshit that goes on in unregulated Texas. Whereas, communist, Nazi, socialist Illinois, run by J.B. Pritzker, the Jabba the Hutt of the libtard left. I don't believe any of that stuff. I'm just throwing it out there. These are all the brands that have been attached to these things that I remember. Anyway, Chicago and Cook County and all that, we're pretty good. Our data centers, and we have them, they all seem to be confined to like downtown and industrial areas. Once you get out in the wild west of the suburbs and exurbia and downstate counties, now you start seeing them. And that's pretty much all over Texas as well. So let's take a look at this. This is a data center map. I'm going to try and make it as big as possible. I don't know where, maybe just if you're a North Texan, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know where you guys live, but here, let me make this bigger. That's what she said. Yeah, okay. That might work. All right, let me do this. Let me show you this data center map because, there was 2 years ago, there weren't any. Well, there's probably like a couple, but you know what I mean? All right, this is the data center map. Let's see, we're moving around. Okay, let's look at North Texas. Here we go. Big cluster here in North Texas. The red dots are operating. They are currently in operation, giant nuisance data centers. The green dots, these are planned. These are, we sold that and that and that and that, and this entire area is going to be nothing but hum. Constant hum. Challenges to the electric grid. And let me tell you something about Texas. They can handle it. They can handle challenges to their electric grid. We've seen it before. Maybe not. All right, let's check this out. Let's look around North Texas. Okay, there's Dallas. Let's see. Where do we have operating again? Red is operating. Looking all right. Ooh, they're dancing around in the Plano suburbs, right? This isn't rural here. All right, we got one here. East Arapahoe and basically North Plano Road. Or what is this? That looks like Abuela. I don't know where that is. Oh, I do know where this is. This is over by where? Yeah. All right. So there you go. There's one in Richardson here. There's one a little bit over here. Where is this? I'm looking to see proximity to neighborhoods, right? So these people here on Wood Oak Lane probably absolutely hate this data center. I don't know how far it goes. Luckily, I haven't had to experience this. All right, let's look. So these are, again, the red ones are ones that are already in operation. We got some out here in Saxe. We got two in Saxe. We got a whole bunch planned in Saxe. What's going on? Look at this cluster. All right. Okay. Anyway, as you can see, as we pull out and we'll look at the nation as a whole, red being existing, green being planned, the green dominates this map. This is what's coming. You don't have one now, but you got a big field, that's just been sitting there and you're like, what the hell? Why is nobody building? Don't worry, Planeteer is coming. Claude is on his way. Let's see here. What data centers do for communities? Okay, let's go through some of the benefits because apparently there are some, I guess. We're going to be open-minded about this. When data center developers pitch a new project, they focus on macroeconomic gains. Macroeconomic gain. It's not, and it's going to be over time. When data center developers pitch a new project, they focus on macroeconomic gains, infrastructure funding, and modernization. We're going to give you a new town square. How about a paint job on that gazebo? Modernization. Under recent regulatory shifts, such as the White House Ratepayer Protection Pledge, tech companies are increasingly required to fund 100% of the new electrical infrastructure costs directly driven by their operations, which can modernize local grids without billing residents. This is incredibly important, okay? Because one of the things that people who, have these things either in their neighborhoods or encroach upon their neighborhoods talk about is how they will now have increased electric bills themselves because shit rolls downhill. And this little sleepy community that used to need X amount of energy is now going to need 100 times that energy because of the new AI data center, which uses a lot of energy. So the energy company is then going to have to modernize and upgrade their grid, passing those costs, of course, onto the consumer. That is what they mean when they say our electric bills will rise. Okay. So knowing that, and we just learned that under recent regulatory shifts, such as the White House's Ratepayer Protection Pledge, tech companies are increasingly required to fund 100% of new electrical infrastructure costs, which can modernize local grids without residents being billed. Sounds great. Couple of problems there, though. I don't like the way it's worded. If that is, in fact, how it's worded, it says here, the White House's Ratepayer Protection Pledge. It's a pledge. I don't know if that's a law. I don't know. I think it sounds good in a press release that you can hand to Benny Johnson and he can talk about how they're protecting us. But it's a pledge at the end of the day from people who, I'm going to let you decide whether or not you would think they're the kind of people that would go back on a pledge. I mean, I know some of you think we're talking about the Knights of the Round Table. Okay, White House Ratepayer Protection Pledge. Here's more that I dislike about this sentence. Tech companies are increasingly required. They're not required. They're increasingly required. We don't really enforce it, but we're starting to a little bit. Like when the company gave money to the Democrats. I'm kidding, and I'm being a troublemaker. But you see what I mean? We are increasingly well, you made a pledge. It's also fucking it's all salesman speak. Everything is a slight deception. The White House Ratepayer Protection Pledge. Tech companies are increasingly required to fund 100% of new electrical infrastructure costs directly driven by their operations, which can modernize local grids without billing residents. What a wonderful idea. Thanks for the pledge. And thank you for increasingly requiring them to do this, to follow through on the pledge you made. I don't know that they made. Who's making this pledge? So that's kind of bullshit. And that's kind of the thing that, people are pissed off about. Don't make these nonsense fucking pledges and then pretend like you're really worried about the taxpayers in these situations. I'll give you an example. There was an entire county board who was facing serious I don't know where this is. I can ask AI, but let's not, it's anecdotal at best. So they were facing serious backlash over a new proposed data center that was going up in their little sleepy town. I think it was somewhere in Iowa. And everybody in the town, they held a referendum, right? They decided, well, we'll do it as a vote. And it just got completely destroyed. The entire town was like, yeah, we don't want this. And then the board just okayed it anyway. They were just like, well, see, these kinds of things, and I know that was anecdotal, and I don't even have any real sources for it, other than, it's a story from a couple of weeks ago, maybe even months at this point. But there's something shady going on here with all of these AI data centers. I mean, people are being paid very well to support these things. Let's see here. So now let's talk about ways that citizens claim that these data centers are harming them in their heretofore sleepy, wonderful little bedroom communities, despite the tax upside. And that is, by the way, an upside. I'm sorry, I didn't mention that. I should have mentioned that. Oh my God. There is obviously a tax on the AI company itself. Kind of tax to a small, sleepy town could, we ain't just talking about, new police cars or a stoplight down on Main. No, I mean, big money, big tech money to whoever is, in charge of the town at the moment the tech companies decide they want an AI data center in their jurisdiction. Big money. So everybody's getting rich except, of course, us, the peasants. But yeah, so there will be tax dollars. There will be new taxes funneled into how that's spent. Well, we'll see. We'll see. A new water park, maybe. I don't know, but not better schools or anything like that, but better, probably a water park for the community. Free water park, thanks to Planeteer. Despite the tax upside, individual citizens who live near data centers or proposed sites are increasingly organizing pushbacks due to immediate disruptions to their health, wallets, and quality of life. They say that data centers are requiring an immense amount of electricity, and that a single large facility can consume as much power as 100,000 homes. This massive surge in demand strains local power grids. To keep up, utilities must build new power infrastructure and often pass these multi-billion-dollar costs directly onto local households via higher monthly utility rates. Well, yeah, I heard about the pledge. But I also heard, and I also know, that data centers have been up and operating for years now, and there are people who have been complaining this for a long time. And you said in your own pledge that you were increasingly requiring offenders to pay people's electric bills. Okay, that's a nice promise. But, when your debit card gets declined and you're eating dinner in the dark, fuck you. Keeping rows of computers in these data centers from overheating requires millions of gallons of water every single day in water-scarce or rural communities. This massive extraction can deplete local aquifers, lower domestic water pressure, and trigger restrictions on residential home construction. Was watching some videos of some people complaining about shit, and that does seem to be one of the big complaints that they all say. They haven't had a good shower since that thing turned on. Yeah, I guess water pressure sucks. Because it's what? I used to have great showers now. And you know what? Honestly, nothing can ruin your day quite like a bad shower. You ever had a bad shower? You ever taking a shower in a place you're not used to showering? And you're oh, fuck, okay. And then you take a shower in some stranger's shower, and it just didn't take. You just know you didn't get parts, and you're in a miserable mood all day. I've literally said that. I've literally said, look, man, I took a shower, but it didn't take. So, yeah, water pressure is a big deal from here. Air pollution, they say that there are public health risks with the air pollution. And primarily, it's about the noise. So I want to show you an example of this. This is a video. There's a whole bunch of them out there, but I thought this one was interesting because this guy, to me, I don't know, he seemed credible. He didn't seem like some activist or whatever. He just seemed like a legitimate smart nerd who lived in the neighborhood and was well, I can actually show the data on why this is unconstitutional. All right, let's watch this guy. This is, and you can hear it. The noise is a constant
I'm
hum.
one of two people who do.
Let's see here. Here we go. You can hear it. It sounds like they are on a back porch, maybe a quarter mile away from an interstate. It sounds to me like a highway, and it's a white noise, and it's constant. So unless you are really, oh, there it is, you might overlook it. Some people maybe can. I can't. I'm one of these people where there are any kind of consistent irritant noise. I used to like to stay up really late, and I used to try to talking about when I was younger, and I used to try to fall asleep before the birds came out, because if I was trying to fall asleep and there was one fucking bird going, I would lose my shit. So, yeah, I'm one of these people that this would bother me. So listen, here is the hum from a data center here. Here's a nerd who knows about hums and shit. He's going to explain what's going on here. This is his backyard.
Daily sound readings. I generally do the daytime. So I'm one of two people who do daily sound readings. I generally do the daytime.
Do you hear that? People describe it as a hum, but it's not a hum. What it is it's like a million fans. It's like a million fans all going at once, a quarter mile from your backyard. And it's a constant. If you sleep with a fan, you know what that white noise sounds like. This is industrial grade fan noise.
Time readings, and then I'm up at night, so I do some late night readings.
Okay.
And we do a dBA and a dBc reading, which are different frequency formulations. dBA is for more like human audible. dBc allows more of the low frequency rumble that you can more feel. And I would just set it to the slow reading, change it to, this meter has an average.
You guys hear that, right? Oh, maybe, honestly, I just realized the phone was up, so you probably got an echo, and fuck me, I'm very sorry for that. But I'll play it again. You guys can hear that, right? That would drive me absolutely insane.
And we just wait 3 minutes, and it gives an average, and that's what we record. Okay. Along with the temperature, if it's cloudy, is it raining or not, other factors just for data points.
So I'm hoping people can hear this on the video, but how do you describe the noise to people who don't live here?
If it were like a highway that never stops. We talk about, you listen to Prince William County Parkway, you hear that during the day, but at nighttime, you clearly hear it go down in volume because there's not as much traffic.
Right.
This is continual. It is just inordinately loud. Some people have claimed, well, but it's just like a conversation that never stops, is in your bedroom, and you can never turn off. So it's not, 80 decibels, but it's constant.
It's constant. And this is the back of your deck.
Mm-hmm.
And the building is behind those trees.
Just maybe 300-400 feet, 500.
So, all right, there you have it. That is
two people who do.
To me, that's absolutely unacceptable. And what are they going to argue as these things grow? I showed you the map. Okay, there's like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times the amount of these data centers planned than are already in operation. We saw the map. The red were the ones in operation. The green were the ones planned. It was a green map when you pulled out. Manifest destiny. What is the destiny? To replace humanity with, shit that needs cloud storage? Anyway. Oh, look at this. Okay, very good. I wanted to have Maddie on today. We're going to bring Maddie on. She's very busy. She's closing deals. She's a big business lady. Maddie's going to come on next. She just texted me that she's ready to go, so that'll be good. I want to take a break, though. I want to get some coffee. I want to go to the bathroom. We'll come back. We got a bunch more stuff to talk about today. We've got Maddie coming up next, and we're also going to get into, we're going to listen to Helen Comperatore. She's the widow of Corey Comperatore. He's the man that was killed during the attempted assassination of President Trump there in Butler, Pennsylvania 2 years ago. 2 years ago now. We're going to listen to her. She's talking, and we're going to listen to her, but we're going to talk primarily about why have we forgotten him? What's the reason behind, him being forgotten? What's the reason between us remembering people like Luigi or whoever? Who was the girl at Charlottesville? Heather Heyer. We have almost entirely forgotten Heather Heyer. Why do we just convenient? The truly sad ones disappoint us that much? Because the story of Corey Comperatore is truly sad. Same with Heather Heyer. She was, of course, the girl that was killed when that lunatic decided to drive through a crowd in Charlottesville. Is that it? Is it that uncomfortable? I don't know. And is Luigi, because that's people don't consider what he did. People, I guess, just think he's attractive. We should keep talking about him because he's attractive. I don't know. Anyway, I want to talk about that. We also have a very special edition of Can't Beat Fun at the Old Ballpark, where we're going to take a trip back into baseball's cocaine era. Wow, 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 wow. We got a dick of the day. We got 3 videos. We got all that stuff. But most importantly, the great Maddie is coming up next. I'll be back. All right. She got a whole bunch of stuff too. It's gonna be fun. She just doesn't. Well, I'm gonna let her explain. All right, we'll be right back. Give me about 5 minutes here. Hi. Camera wouldn't go off, but now I'm gonna turn the mic off. There we go. You know what I realized? Gotta get the phone ready. Gotta call Maddie. I realized I didn't thank our July heroes. That's right, heroes of the month of July. The show runs on your gratuities, your tips. If you support this kind of talk radio daily, every day at noon since 2021, that's 5 years. Every day we come here and we try and present to you a different kind of perspective, one that isn't available, I don't believe, as somebody who worked in major market talk radio for the better part of 30 years. There's no home for me. Maybe that's a sign that nobody wants to hear this bullshit. I think it's wrong. I think it's just not amplified. So we struggle along every single day providing a form of talk radio that I don't think you'll find anywhere else. In fact, I know you won't. So we rely on you, no advertisers. We don't have enough of us. We don't have enough of us to interest any advertiser in anything. And we're spread out all over. So we're a unique band. You support this show because you like it and because you show up every day. And I thank you for that. And to that end, we now have a system of rewarding our heroes. These are the people who have dropped a little something in the Venmo or the Cash App at some point this month. July, we are halfway, more than, dare say, through the month. And we did pay for June. We got to June. Thank you, Tracy D. Tracy D covered us with June just yesterday. She dropped a little something, so thank you. But we're still desperately in need of a little bit of something. Get us through for July. So please join Tracy D, Maddie, who's going to be on in a second, Peter, Barney. We got Mama B. She's as consistent as the day is beautiful. Mikey D, Leslie C. Thank you all. Appreciate y'all. Those are our, I almost just said December, you guys. I was like, those are our December heroes. It's July. We got brown air. I can't talk. I'm all wheezy. Hope my mom is doing okay. My mom has an issue with breathing, and that's why my son was on earlier today to explain exactly what people who are challenged with their breath, what they might be going through today. So it just sucks. What's the temperature now? Let me see. Because not only is the sky brown and smoky and smells like, again, a pig roast, it's 95 degrees. Cool. And it feels like 103. Oh, is that all? So it feels like we are all at a pig roast and we're the pigs. It's just surrounded by brown smoke. We're being smoked, being slow cooked at 94 degrees. I bet you I will be delicious. I'm going to be delicious. Let's talk to Maddie. Maddie is somebody who appears on this show. She's a friend of mine. I'm going to be appearing on her Twitch stream tonight. She's political. You know, we're not really political here, but I'll go on her show and I'll listen to, that stuff. Why not? Hey, look, you know what? She helps us. I want to be involved in whatever it is she's doing to the extent that she'll have me, and she's going to have me tonight. We're going to be doing something. Although I want to watch Trump's speech, man. Anyway, we're going to get to the bottom of it. Maddie joins us a couple of times a week. Do we have her? No. You know what I got? I got Maddie on a Wednesday here. Or I got Maddie on a Monday. What is today? Today's Thursday, right? All right. Yeah. We'll do that. Hold on. Got to get this right. Yeah, why not? I think I'm spelling her name wrong. We need to get to the bottom of that. I don't know why I think her name is spelled M-A-T-T-Y. Maybe it's because her name is spelled M-A-T-T-Y. Anyway, let's talk. All right, let's get Maddie on the phone. I know she's got a lot of stuff. Look, Maddie and I talk sometimes. I got my kid and I got a whole bunch of other stuff that's going on. So I don't spend a lot of time on the phone with anybody. But, Maddie and I do these things together. So we do have to make some kind of contact. Last night, she called in the middle of one of my favorite Sopranos episodes. My son and I, of course, were binge watching The Sopranos, especially now that we don't have baseball. The Telltale Mozzarella. That's right. Season 3, episode, I don't know, 5, 6, 7. The Telltale Mozzarella. One of my favorite episodes. It's the episode where AJ and his friends break into the school and terrorize the pool. Yeah, the one with Lady Gaga. Yeah, I've been talking to my son. I'm like, there's a lot of people in the background you got to look out for. And I'm like, you got to look for Lady Gaga. And we're getting to the scene. And Maddie called. And I fear I was short to her. I was like, come on. I'm like, I'm in the middle of the best episode from season 3. Let's call Maddie. Let's see what's on her mind, because it's always something interesting. Here we go. Phone not ringing. Is this a my phone thing? Hello.
Hey,
There we go. Okay, I didn't even hear a ring on my end.
I was hovering, so it probably didn't ring. It
All
rang
right.
for me though.
All right, Maddie, welcome to Maddie on a Thursday. You're going to be going
Yeah.
live tonight. Tell people how you can go. We're going to do so. I don't know. Tell me what I'm doing. Go ahead.
Yeah, so 7:30, we're gonna be on Twitch, twitch.tv/antilibfem. We're gonna start at 7:30. The Trump speech starts at 8 Central. So we're gonna cover a couple of things, and then if you want to ditch, that's fine. But I'm gonna definitely be watching Trump's for live reacts during his little speech. Obviously, there's a lot of conversations about what he is potentially going to be talking about. I agree with you. I'd love to think it would be something very pertinent towards where we're at as a country.
Lot of reasons for the president to address us today. Lot of them. Lot of
Sure,
legitimate.
there's a lot of them,
Yeah.
but there's also a lot of people conjecturing on the fact that this is not going to have the first damn thing to do with the Iran war, and that this is going to be specifically about the 2020 election and the state of Georgia and their part in this election. And if we remember, before Tulsi Gabbard resigned her position, she went over there and they executed a warrant for the voting records. And allegedly, there's been a lot of influencers talking about the fact that he's going to bring up or try to state that John Ossoff and Raphael Warnock have won their places in the Senate and Congress illegitimately.
Okay, so let me ask you, as somebody, obviously you pay closer attention to these things than I do. Where the perception, because you are absolutely right, as somebody who reacts more to the public branding of things than the actual details, especially here, the public branding of this is that he's going to get up there tonight and he's going to talk about nonsense that has nothing to do with Iran. That's the public branding. That's what everybody thinks is going to happen. You just said that's what everybody thinks is going to happen. Why do we think that? Where does that come from? Does that come from a leak from the White House? Is that ABC News? That's what I want to know, because is he going to do what we believe, which, is what I just said, or could it be a legitimate speech to the net? Why do we think that, I guess, is my question. Do you know where that comes from? I know everybody's saying it.
I don't. Like I said, it has been being talked about quite extensively, especially on social media and in several of the streams that I frequent, which are very dialed in. Like these people do talk to. And that is kind of the like I said, that's why I said it's the conjecture, but that is the conjecture of what is allegedly going to be thrown around tonight in his speech. We'll see. He has been known to shift gears at the last minute. He's a wild card when it comes to these speeches, and he often doesn't go off of a script at all, and he might get up there and freeball.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping. The historical insanity of it. That's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping he breaks script and he freeballs it.
Yeah. So we're going to see.
Okay.
We're going to see. So you're talking about you have some bad air quality up there. Is that from the big fires in Ontario, Canada?
Oh, God, yeah. Yeah, but it's absolutely terrible. I'm even having difficulty breathing, and I don't have any breathing issues, but my voice is completely shot. You walk outside, and as I described, it feels like, we're all at a pig roast, and we're the pigs. It is brown, heavy smoke, and it smells. Look, I'm not going to be
like barbecue.
Yeah, I'm not going to say that it smells terrible. It doesn't smell terrible.
It smells like a campfire. But so one of the streamers that I watch really, really regularly, he is a Canadian streamer, and he was talking about, like, just to give the listeners a reference point. He showed me where the fires are. They're in Ontario, and literally, like, all of Ontario is on fire. And I have a really good friend of mine that lives in Philly, and she was posting today that they're experiencing the same thing. So that just goes to show you guys, like, how much is on fire and how that it is pushing down into the, the upper portion of the United States of America, that is just exactly how widespread these fires are in Ontario, Canada right now.
It's real far away. It's real far away. And it's, I guess it's not going to go away here for a couple of days. So that sucks, because on top of all that, it's 95 degrees currently. With massive Great Lakes humidity. We have I know what humidity is down there in Louisiana, but maybe our friends in North Texas don't really understand what a massive body of water can do when it rises above 90. Oh,
the air just hangs.
Oh, the air hangs, and now it's heavy brown. It's pork.
It just hangs. Yeah.
Pork roast.
So
pork.
I'm sorry you're going through that. I can only imagine. I mean, the eye burning and the whole 9 yards, that really, really sucks. And I know your mom has respiratory challenges. So my best goes out to your mom during these times. Yes, for sure. And
hey, can I just stop you for 1 second? I'm sorry. I just want to address this before we move on. Okay. So I asked, where did the notion that Trump's speech is going to cover the OSOF and the Georgia elections and the 2020 fraud? Where did that notion come from? Because everybody's talking about it. Like, I read it in the walls. You want to know where it came from? It came from Trump himself.
Yeah, there you go.
Trump himself.
So the leaky sieve in the office of the White House, you have no farther to look than this man who cannot keep his damn mouth shut.
Geez. Yeah.
So he's his own worst enemy when it comes to that kind of stuff. Like, he lets the cat out of the bag on a regular basis.
But that also means that there's no credibility to that. And he can talk about whatever he wants because he has no credibility. So if he says this is what I'm going to talk about, we can't put money on that. We don't know that that's what he's going to. He's just diarrhea of the mouth. My grandpa used to say.
Absolutely. And it's an own the libs moment. It is, for sure. And of course, everybody knows that Jon Ossoff is clearly ramping up to a presidential nomination.
Yeah, that son of a bitch. Clear. He has my attention. That dude is sharp.
He has my attention too. And I have been watching him during these confirmation hearings, and he is asking good questions. And both the CIA director and for the Todd Blanche, the Department of Justice appointment, he is not backing down. So I love to see it. Love to see it. We'll remain to see how this plays out. But I did want to tab back because I was listening in and you were talking about data centers. And so I did quite a large segment, April, in the chat room, logged in for a little while because of course, if it is some bullshit that nobody wants, it is absolutely coming to Louisiana. And there has been a planned data center in the northern part of our state, but it was going to be on the smaller side. It wasn't going to be one of these big, mega projects. Well, now it is officially been announced that it is a mega project. It is going to be a $50 billion, 5 gigawatt size of Manhattan thing in the middle of farm country of North Louisiana. And people are not happy about it. And the announcement came out. I knew that something was coming because, you see that big, big green circle right there in Louisiana?
This one right here? The Meta Hyperion and
that's the one.
Richland, Paris?
Zuckerberg.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, that's the Zuckerberg thing, huh? That's the, okay.
Yep. And so, you were talking about, how this makes people's electric bills go up, but the trade-off is taxes or, community outreach or whatever these things are. So, just so everybody can get a quick sense of how the state of Louisiana loves to do business with big billionaire fucking companies, but also billionaires themselves. Because like we all know that Mark Zuckerberg is not hurting for any damn money.
Yeah. Now this spot that you've been talking about, it's not just one. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 individual data centers, all clustered in the same area. I would say this: it does not look like it's near any residential, but I wouldn't want to own property in Rayville. Rayville seems to be the closest community to this nonsense, but this is a massive project because
the size of Manhattan.
Yeah,
it is equivalent to the size of, imagine just a city the size of Manhattan getting plopped down into a middle of rural farm country. They have exercised eminent domain. They have come in there. They have bullied their way in. I think that they, and of course they do the things that everybody does. Now here, The community involvement is less important, like Louisianians don't get too excited about a new park or something. But what they did do is they did the thing that everybody does, and they said that they're going to throw money at education, because we're always dead last in education. So, they're giving teachers in the parish a $50,000 bonus. Again, get your bag, sis. I'm happy for teachers to get a little bit of money, but know that that money will be gone way before any of the other effects of this actually happen, and they're buying people off. But the other thing that our state does is we don't give a shit if these billionaire people come in and actually pay a fair share of taxes. Because what we did was we created legislation before they got here and eliminated their need for paying taxes for the first 20 years of owning this business, with only a few metrics to have to meet. But also those metrics are also very negotiable.
But they're going to employ 20 people to work each one of these things. There are 20 humans that will have full-time
20
jobs.
whole humans.
Hold
That's
on.
right.
Wait a second, though.
That's right.
20 people, but they're going to hire an additional 150 for security. So there's going to be like,
right.
and
about 600 people, right?
Mostly for security.
Manhattan-sized building, right?
For
exactly.
Mostly to ward off the population who doesn't want these things. So it's 20 people who are actually instrumental to the running of the operation, and then 150 armed security people keeping the peasants at bay. That's what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. So a couple of babysitters are going to be hanging around, making sure that, the water cooling systems don't explode. And, and then there's going to be people with pitchforks running around, making sure that the peons don't come in and break in and try to disconnect stuff. Right. Or that the meth heads don't go in and steal the copper.
Do you know what I love? You know what I do love about this? I other than the acknowledgement of clear corruption in many of these cases at the community and at the corporate level. Aside from that, this is not a political or partisan issue. I mean, it doesn't matter who you voted for. If your backyard is suddenly going to have 24-hour jet noise, I mean, this is like one of these unifying issues.
Yep. I said that on my stream too. I said it is absurd because this is literally a 90-10 issue. It is a 90-10 issue. It does not matter if it is white, right, or left. It is a 90-10 issue, and they are ramming this down our throats with a fierceness that is something that I have never seen before. Our governor announced it, and he said that the moves that they're making are putting Louisiana at the forefront of AI infrastructure, as though that is something that our state wants.
Or that it's something that you're proud of. You're at the forefront of warehouses that provide cloud storage for people elsewhere. You're not it's not like, you're Rocket City, USA, where you are, working on scientific discovery. These are warehouses. These do not provide any kind of scientific benefit or any sort of elite, sort of vibe. These are warehouses, and they're putting warehouses.
Way more insidious than that, because the point that I made on my stream is that it is not just warehousing. This is the mechanism by which capitalism is going to eliminate us.
Exactly. That's the more it's not even existential, but that is the bigger 30,000-foot view of why this is a significant problem, not just for the people who live in the communities who can't sleep at night, but for humanity in general. That's a little bit too deep in the weeds, though, I think, for this conversation. So what else you got?
Well, you were also talking about how we're not sure about getting boots on the ground or not getting boots on the ground in Iran. And so I got a little story that I'd like to share, because Pete Hegseth came and did one of his little famous what we're doing in the military moments. And I sent you some links on Grok not on Grok, I'm sorry, in the chat in your DMs in X. And so he has just announced an initiative that he's calling the High T Initiative. And what this is officially the members of the military, male members of the military, 30 years of age or older, will now be mandatorily tested annually for their testosterone levels. And if those testosterone levels don't meet baselines, then they will be given, HTH, hormone replacement therapy. I'm sorry, testosterone replacement therapy. And it will be voluntary for members under the age of 30. And he is stipulating that this is in order to make our military virile and combat ready.
Okay. All right, here it is. This is a little piece of news here from MS Now. Not at all like MSNBC. It's MS Now.
A big announcement from the Pentagon now. A fascinating one, an interesting one. The military is going to start testing the testosterone levels of some service members. They're going to check their testosterone, according to this post, this video from the Defense Secretary, Pete Hegseth, captioning the whole thing, the high T Department of War, high T, high testosterone. Watch this.
This initiative, it's not about artificial enhancement. It's about restoring and optimizing your natural capabilities, protecting your longevity, and ensuring you have the biological foundation required to sustain the fight.
Hegseth also says the military will then recommend hormone therapy for members if they need it. This new apparent policy comes as we're seeing a bigger push from the Trump administration to expand access to testosterone replacement therapies.
Hold on. There you go. That's the, go ahead. Respond to that, Maddie.
Well, I am not a male, and I am, so I had to do a little bit of research on this. And so there's a few things that my take away from this was. And number one is that I wanted to understand what about being, reaching the age of 30, if testosterone replacement therapy was typically recommended at that age. And my research showed me that doctors typically don't see a significant reduction in testosterone at that young age. That usually this comes later on in life, unless there are other mitigating issues. Now, one of the most common contributors to lower testosterone levels, especially in younger men at the age of 30, is extreme obesity, being exposed to extremely high levels of stress, or alcoholism. So it's possible, I guess, that military members, if they are in a very stressful, stressful job, and of course we can all agree that being at war could be stressful, but I don't see where obesity would be a contributing factor for military members. The alcoholism thing, that could be something too. But largely what doctors say is that at 30, if the testosterone is lower, that they're not going to recommend testosterone replacement therapy, because if you get on testosterone too young as a man, it actually shuts off the brain, the systems in the body that would produce testosterone organically. And what they're going to normally recommend is a lifestyle change, right? So if you're obese, they're going to recommend, losing weight, or if you're in a stressful job or something, they're going to recommend maybe not being so stressed out. Or if you're an alcoholic, they're going to recommend you maybe don't be an alcoholic anymore. So this is interesting to me that our department, that the leader of our military out here is making these kinds of suggestion to its military. Now, if you notice in his verbiage, he said this is not about artificially enhancing. So what he's doing in that moment, he clearly is he's trying to suggest that we're not putting your sons on steroids and getting them jacked up and raged out so that we can go send them over to war. Although the question would present itself, right? I have some more thoughts that go off in a different direction, but I'd like to hear what your response is to this as the man. How do you feel about this hormone replacement therapy for men of a younger age? We're not talking about 50-year-olds. We're talking about 30-year-olds.
Well, I have heard of it in younger men. Probably not as common as men typically in their 40s. It's incredibly big now, and has been incredibly big quietly in male circles for the better part of a decade, back when I was doing mansplaining with Schwartz, the advice show, he was always talking about the testosterone treatments and what he's getting and why I need it. I've never gotten it, but I do know a lot of people who have. So it is a very common thing. What I would say about what Pete Hegseth did in announcing that he is now going to be doing these, we're going to make everybody testy. We're going to make everybody, that's his thing. That's a MAGA alpha douchebag dog whistle. That's all it is.
Mhm.
He just throwing it as like, hey, if you like us, go like it's not rare. I mean, it's very common, but it is kind of a douchebaggy alpha male Joe Rogan. Let's do this with, let's test up kind of a thing. It is a dog whistle. I don't think that I don't care. I think that it also is a way for them to remind everybody that, they think trans people are weird. All right. It doesn't go any deeper than that. They don't like trans people, Trump and Hegseth, and they don't like them in the army because they're weirdos. And that's what it is. It's no deeper than that.
I hadn't brought that up yet. So only thing that we were talking about was is this a medical necessity for men at an age of 30 or more?
Right.
And why the military would maybe be thinking about employing this. But now that you have mentioned trans, what I did want to
wait a second. Let me finish, because I did that intentionally, because actually, go ahead. Never mind. I'm sorry. That was rude of me. Please continue.
You're good. But obviously I'm a lefty, so I'm always going to, remind people of hypocrisy when we see it. And so, remember, everyone, back in 2025, the military banned trans people from being inside the military, and their reasoning for it at that time. I mean, yes, we know that they don't like trans in general, but the legal reason, the executive order, the stated reason why they said that trans couldn't be in the military was because they did not have the ability to provide what they refer to as gender affirming care. And gender affirming care is hormone replacement therapy. Okay. So I find this incredibly hypocritical when we're talking about what would have been, because I did the numbers on that too. The estimates are, because obviously we would need only an estimate about how many trans people would have actually been in the military. I am sure there were many who didn't say they were trans, but they obviously got identified as well. But we're talking about the military is around 3.1 million people, right? Men and women. And at any given time, estimates are that you're talking about maybe anywhere from 1,000, a couple of thousand, maybe as many as 10 to 15,000 active duty military members who would have identified as trans, right? So the numbers of 30-year-old men versus trans people in the military, and the cost of annual testing and the therapy that they're offering is completely offset, right? Like, there's no way that hormone replacement therapy for trans people to get their necessary care, their gender affirming care, to have been able to stay in the military would have cost more than testing and testosterone replacement therapy for all of the men in the military at 30 years of age or older. Right. So it is absolutely hypocritical. But let's also point out, too, that if we're that upset about hormones, there are also women in the military, and women, once they hit a certain age, but also for a variety of different health concerns like PCOS and things like that, could also need female related hormones. And so it was absurd at the outset. Everybody thought so. But I also believe that we are starting to see people who are willing to rise up and point out hypocrisy where hypocrisy lives. And we're also seeing people willing to sue behind it. So I honestly believe that this announcement that Pete Hegseth has made will be an avenue by which trans people will actually get to file, lawsuits against the military and the United States government for discrimination based on the fact that they were kicked out of something, telling them that they had no availability to give them this kind of care, only to find out later on that the care is available, the money is there, it just wasn't meant for you.
I would say this, when comparing the two treatments, the testosterone treatments for those who feel like they need some, and trans people who I would think need a fairly heavy and consistent schedule of drugs, doesn't one of those procedures directly lead to a better soldier? Isn't that an argument that they can make, that we want our fighting force to be at their absolute tip top, and if they are men who need to up their testosterone because they're below levels, this will directly impact their performance as a defender of the United States? I mean, isn't that a reasonable shout down to why one is being funded and the other one is absolutely not?
I mean, you could certainly make that argument, but I don't recall anybody ever saying that the reason why trans weren't allowed in the military was because they weren't good at what they were doing. And we can also just simply also point out that the military is a diverse type of job opportunity, right?
Agreed.
Like,
Agreed.
certainly there
Not
are
everybody's a
people who go-
warrior. Not everybody
That's
needs
right.
to be a Pete Hegseth clone.
That's right. So, okay, I'm willing to accept your premise, right? That we do want the guys who are going to be going over there fighting for our country or defending our soil here to be at their top fighting form. We want them to be the MMA fighters or the whatevers. But the military is so much more than that. It is, it is computer operators, it is EMTs, and they got rid of all of those people too. Right? It was a wide sweeping, if you're trans, you're out, and it didn't matter if you were a paper pusher in the military. It was truly, in my opinion, discrimination. And so, if you have to have hormones to do your job well, I still fail to understand why hormones, and that is okay to be funded in the military for one, but not all. And they use that as a springboard to justify getting trans people out of the military. Bottom line.
Or, you're thinking about it your way, and me, they just don't like trans people. That's just, that's all I need to know.
The underlying problem is that they didn't want trans people in the military, and they found a loophole to get rid of them.
It's not about Jesus. It's not about, gender confusion. It's not about whether or not they can actually do the task at hand in the military. They just don't like them. They think they're weird. They're those weird people. All right, what else do you got for me here, Maddie? What else is burning up your brain?
Well, I had sent you another little article. And this is something that I covered on Tuesday, and this is, it's got a little bit of a political twinge to it, but not quite the culture war issue that we were just talking about. But, down here in the South, we have some famous rappers that grace our presence, and Lil Boozy. I think everybody might know who Lil Boozy is, even us old Gen Xers. He's the Wipe Me Down guy. You know that song. We all like that song in the club. Well, he got some notoriety this week because he announced that he was filing a lawsuit against a lobbying firm to get some of his money back because he says that he was scammed. And so what happened was is that, back in 2014, Lil Boozy got a gun charge. Now, we don't have to go back into Lil Boozy's history. He has had a myriad of issues. He's an odd character in and of himself. He says and does things that a lot of people look side-eyed at for, now, despite the fact that I don't know if I would call him MAGA, but he has some odd, he's very homophobic, and he does some things. Although I do think he probably voted for Kamala Harris in the last election because, Black people vote for Black people, and that's fine. But he's got some odd things about him. So he got a gun charge, and he's out of jail. Like, he's not sitting in jail, but I guess he wanted a pardon. And we are seeing basically an industry that is cropping up now. Like you were talking about Trump's NVIDIA thing earlier. And I'm going to share one more thing before we get off that's going to help us all with that. I have to tell you about this. But there's an industry now where people can lobby for pardons, and they are paying big bucks to do it.
Oh,
right?
how do I get that gig? I could do that.
Well, you got to be adjacent to power to get it.
Oh,
So
damn
he
it.
paid a lobbying firm called Lobbymatic, $600,000. And was told, this started sometime last year, and was told, it's going to take us a couple months, we're going to get it for you, my brother, don't worry about this. And sometime around New Year's, the beginning of the new year, he got a text from the company, and they told him, hey, we got it signed, it's just a matter of a few weeks, and it's going to be in your inbox, or it's going to be in your hands, and you're going to be pardoned. Well, that day never came. So he started asking some questions after the fact. I want to point that out, after the fact.
Wow.
And realized that these people had taken his money. And so I also shared on, because he was all over X about it, and he put a couple of posts up where big cap letters, big lists of names. So these are the names of the people that apparently they told him that they had like a direct line to now, like, hey, we got these guys on speed dial. Obviously, Trump was one of them. And he even says this on his X post, you told me that you got Trump on speed dial, that kind of thing. But he put a big post up, and it says, Laura Loomer, Mike Cernovich, Jack Posobiec, Erica Kirk, Mike Johnson, Nancy Mace, and Andy Biggs.
Oh, all the absolute worst.
All the best people, always. Can the names above please make a truthful statement about having contact or no contact with Berkman and Wall about my pardon process? $600K was taken from me with your names mentioned in emails by these people. Thanks. And then he goes on and on and on in these loud, all caps rants about how you fuck with the wrong one, motherfucker. Well, no, they didn't, because they got your money, friend.
Yeah.
And so, no, they exactly fucked with the right one.
Yeah, they got the right guy who did his due diligence after he felt something shady was going on.
Yeah. So I read the article on Raw's story, and then when I tell you, I found an article also, like from a tech magazine from like 2023, mind you, that talks specifically about Jack Berkman and Jacob Wohl and their long-term grift of every single person they've ever come in contact with, and all of the grifts that they've done. And they do touch on this. It was an AI-based lobbymatic, business. And I guess what they figured out was that they could program AI to make these robocalls, and they could get these people who needed pardons and get their money and blah, 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 blah.
They went fishing for dumb rich people who were desperate, and they got a little boozy bit.
Yeah, but these people have like a rap sheet a mile long. That is a fraud of any number of levels. But quite frankly, I didn't even have to go that far, because if you go to Wikipedia, literally just Wikipedia, and Wikipedia, Jacob Wohl himself, in the description of like at the very top, it says Jacob Wohl, a well-known, right? Like you see entrepreneur or journalist or politician. No, in the well-known, the third word over is fraudster. Fraudster.
It's never good on your Wikipedia page.
Yeah.
The worst thing to read on your Wikipedia page was Maddie was. You never want to read was. You always want to still say is. But yeah, after that, fraudster and convicted felon or pedophile, those are probably the worst ones that can come next.
Yeah, like literally, if he had simply just popped open Google and Googled either one of these two individuals without ever having to dive further than that into articles, although those exist too, about the long list of hedge fund grifts and how many people that they have taken. You know, like now they haven't gotten to like Bernie Madoff status, but they're low-level con men, scammers. The FCC fined them for $3.1 million for telecommunications fraud because of these robocalls. At the time, it was the biggest fine ever given to them. These things happened back in like 2023, 2024.
Yeah, let me stop you here because I don't think that you remember this kid. I'm looking at him right now. He was a TV star. He was on Fox News all the time. He was the kid who did Wall Street picks. The segment was called Wool of Wall Street.
Yes, and Wool of Wall Street, exactly right.
And what happened is he grew up and he stopped being cute, and so they stopped booking him on Fox News, and he made a turn around that time into MAGA right-wing politics. And he, because he had some name recognition with Fox News viewers and all that, was able to build this little scam company that we're talking about now that took Lil Boosie's money.
More than one. Like I said, the Lobbymatic was only one of their grifty companies. They had several, but no, exactly right. But you know, and I know that you're painting it like, well, he lost his utility to Fox, but more so it's because that kid has been tied since he's been a teenager to multiple issues. He's gotten slaps on the wrist, he's gotten probation for charges, but all of it dials back to fraud of some sort, where he has taken money from people to do things and then not delivered. And sometimes it was investments, sometimes it was these robocalls and things like that. So again, you know, I honestly, I don't feel bad for Lil Boots. And but the most
not at all
outrageous thing is that he's filed a lawsuit. Okay, so let's break that down for a quick second. He attempted to pay for a presidential pardon. That is a felony.
Yeah. Yeah, we're not going to rediscover Lil Boosie and celebrate him the way we did Afro Man. This is a different,
this is
a whole
not
different
an Afro
story.
Man freedom civil justice moment. This is you tried to commit fraud with fraudsters and then got defrauded, and he has filed a lawsuit. So I don't know. Here's the way I kind of perceived it when I did my talk about it on Tuesday, was that it is not surprising to me that a lawyer would have filed this lawsuit, because a lot of lawyers are truly some of the worst people on the planet too. And if they can simply make money to file some bullshit lawsuit and get a few more $1,000s from a Lil Boosie, they're gonna do it.
I was gonna say Lil Boosie paid ahead of time. That was one of the things. The lawyer's like, yeah, you got to pay for it up front. And Lil Boosie, as we know, is always willing to do that.
That's it. He's got a retainer. He's got a lawsuit. I'm sure they have no problem with typing up a little brief and going down there and filing it and grifting off of Boosie a little bit further in order to file this lawsuit. I have every assumption in the world that whatever judge winds up with this lawsuit is going to look at this and go, are you fucking kidding me? So, you know, good luck to Booze out there. You know, man, lessons learned, buddy. They're always the hardest ones. And, you know, maybe, just maybe in your inner circle or you're with one of your kids, because he does have kids or nephews or somebody, maybe you should ask somebody to look up something for you before you fucking give people $600,000. So
yeah, maybe just little Ray shouldn't be your one source of, hey, Boosie, I heard about. That's probably how it came to be. All right, tell us about how what's happening tonight with you. Now, I really want to watch this Trump thing with my kid. He's like very excited. We're going to do a dinner, but what time are we doing your thing?
Yeah, 7:30. And so, like I said, if you want to come on tonight, that's fine. Like I said, I have a couple of fun things that we can do, and then if you want to jump off and watch the scene with watch whatever this bullshit is with Trump with your kid, that's fine. If you don't want to, because I when I talked to you last night, I knew it was 9 p.m., but that's 9 p.m. Eastern, so that means it's 8 o'clock for us. So we'll only have about 30 minutes. But you know, if you want to come on for 30 minutes, I'm happy to have you.
Yeah, I will absolutely. That'll be fun. I don't know if you want to pregame or do whatever it is that you want to talk about. I'm game for whatever, and then I'll come on the next one. So, or whenever you need me. Look, I really want to watch this, and my kid wants to watch it, and I think we're gonna have fun.
Yeah, we are. It's gonna be an interesting one. I'm almost a little worried that he's gonna just wind up going up there and rambling incoherently for a little while, and then we're gonna walk away with a little bit of like, oh, well, that wasn't even nearly as interesting as I thought it was going to be. But you never know. That's the whole thing about Donald Trump, is that you never know what you're going to get. And sometimes he gets up there and says insane things, and you're extremely worked up about it after the fact. And sometimes he says he's going to say insane things, and then he gets up there and you're like, well, that wasn't really what I was expecting, but we'll see. Two more really quick things. So you were talking about NVIDIA, and I downloaded an app, and you can put this on your cell phone, and it's in Apple Store and on the one for Android. It's called the Trump Tracker, and it tracks all of his investments. It actually also tracks pretty much all of cabinet members' investments and things like that too. So if that is the kind of thing you're a little curious about, you can see exactly how Donald Trump is moving his money around and what he's doing, and it gives you some other information as well about him, and of course all the kids, the Don Juniors and the Erics and all that stuff. It's an interesting little app. When I need a little cortisol rush, I pop it open and go and get really mad about what I see, and then I close it down so that I don't absolutely lose my mind. But I sent you something fun, and I hope that you'll play it. So, you and I both we love music and things like that. And I'm always fascinated by the fact that pop culture, especially music culture, and music culture kind of seems to do this a little faster than like television and movie does. And I think that's because of the length of time it takes to produce something well. But music can kind of turn on a dime, right? Like we saw that in the 90s, where it went from like hair metal to grunge, and that seemed to happen overnight.
We went from Ace of Base to Nirvana, never mind, overnight. Literally,
right.
I saw the sign to Smells Like Teen Spirit. It was a hard left turn.
And it was it's because it's the voice of a generation, right? And so I'm an old punk rock kid from years ago, but we haven't seen punk, right? And I think that the reason why is because when punk became big, it was because there was a need for a resistance, right? And they were screaming out about things that were happening in society and political overtones, and then of course some of it got a little derivative and weird. But I genuinely think that it is time, right? We're seeing something that's happening in society, and it is of no surprise to me that we're starting to see some young punk bands and people with these kinds of voices that are starting to do some things. And I sent you a link in Grok, and this is a young little 3-piece band, and they call themselves the Kings of Molino, and it's adorable because it's a little grunge punk rock band, and these are young boys, and they're doing some punk music, right? And it's all political. And so they have 2 songs that I've seen now. One of them is about abolishing ICE, and the other one is called America We Can Do Better. And I'm hoping that you'll play one of those 2 videos. I think you'll love it. I'm so here for this.
All right. Here's what I've got. I've got a song called Wake Up America. We are better than this. All right, here they are. The Kings of Molina. Is that who they are?
Molino, yeah.
All right, Kings of Molino.
And they're out of San Francisco. They're which is kind of where grunge and stuff got its
Rob Barr running music out there in San Francisco, oftentimes in our chat room. Rob, check these guys out.
Look at these kids. I love to see it. Let's go.
All right, thank you, Maddie. We'll give it a listen. That's Maddie. I'll be on with her tonight.
Check this out. Guys.
Bye, Maddie.
Mr. America.
Corrupt as build a ballroom, dance away while the pussy on the
kids, beautiful. All right, let me stop you right there, guys. I think what you're doing is, look, I might not be showing it out here, but in here, I feel it in here. Okay, beautiful. You got to do something with me. You got to work with me here. The drummer singing thing, kids, it never works. Okay, can we do this? Can we get maybe a 40-year-old black man? We'll a hired gun. We'll bring him in. He'll be the drummer. It'll be a curiosity. But that kid, can I tell you about my old friend? His name is Phil. Maybe you've heard of him, Phil Collins. I said to Phil, Phil, what are you doing hiding behind the drum kit? You need to be out front. One thing leads to another. I make a phone call. Peter Gabriel suddenly thinks he doesn't need a band. And what did we do? Phil Collins becomes one of the great frontmen of all time. Kids, you got to get the drummer out for if your front man is behind the skins, you're doing something wrong. Next. You in the peanut shirts, stick around. I want to talk to you about a solo opportunity.
Mr. America, what's fitted to? Mr. America, one half for me, one half for you. We don't have liberty, justice and
all right, kid, I got Disney on the phone right now. Again, you don't need these bums, a singer playing drums. It's 2026. We already got a Dave Grohl. All right, this kid, look at him. He looks like the surfer kid. This band could be something. They just, they need the David Lee Roth. I need a 12-year-old David Lee Roth to front this band, and then we got something.
all free from a switch, it's about to fall. You can't call this Amanda.
All right, thank you, boys. Maybe Shakira will coach you on the voice or something. That's pretty cool. Hey, look, I say it all the time. My 17-year-old kid is not some, he goes to a very diverse school in a very big, non-rural part of North Texas. And he's, he ain't looking to join no Charlie Kirk club. And, that was something that was kind of pushed at us for a while. That like, the next generation is... As it turns out, hearing from Mike, those guys are like, there's a couple of dudes at school that wear MAGA hats, but they're like dorks. It's like not the norm among the next generation. The next generation has a very anti-establishment streak, for better or worse. I mean, what you can say? Their grandparents didn't. The boomers didn't have an anti-establishment streak. What are you going to say? We Gen X, we were the grunge. You know what our anti-establishment streak was? The grunge generation, the slacker generation. We just shut down. We just emotionally shut down. That was us. Our parents, the boomers, they marched on Washington and they did all kinds of things at Woodstock, and they had the summer of unprotected sex or whatever it was called historically. They had all that stuff. Not us. Gen X. You know what we did? We moped. We moped for 15 years. That was our rebellion. So when I see this kind of stuff, when I see my son and I hear like, oh, that's some pretty anti-establishment views he's got there, I think, okay, that's not unique. It's typical, but it's needed. I think it's needed now. It is another sign of optimism that I have that Gen Z is going to be just fine. They will fix themselves despite how we completely screwed them over. Again, as I always say, we made choices. We made them the canary in the coal mine generation. There will never be another generation where parents are shoving iPads in 2-year-olds' hands because they won't stop crying in the back seat. We learned from that. We made a bunch of screen junkies. Kids today aren't like that. If you know a parent of like a 2 or 3-year-old, well, we're thinking 16 is when we'll introduce screens. Good luck with that. But at least it's a better way of thinking about it than we did. We didn't understand the harm. We didn't understand the addiction. Some of us, suffer from it ourselves. This is not a specifically Gen Z thing. It's just that they're the first generation that never knew anything but. Right? Which is what makes them the canary in the coal mine. We screwed up. Next generations, we're gonna treat screen time a little bit more, judiciously. All right. Where do we want to go now? I don't want to do the Helen Comperatore story. I don't want to talk about Corey Comperatore now. I'm kind of in a good mood, and I think we should just move forward with the rest of the show, having fun. Ah, jeez, I just realized that now I can't do the dick of the day. We're going to suspend the dick of the day for today. Okay, can we just do that? Can we suspend? You know what? Here's what I want to do. Okay, no, we'll do, okay. On the fly. New dick of the day. You want to know what the new dick of the day is? Here's the new dick of the day. So there's a trailer that dropped today for a movie that's being made. And I was like, wow, it's not the Odyssey. Don't worry. I honestly don't give a shit about what is this, the umpteenth interpretation of, on film. I don't know. I just feel like I've seen this. I don't know. I don't need the Odyssey. And Christopher Nolan is the most overrated, in my opinion, filmmaker of all time. Not of all time. Sorry. Not of all time. I never really got Brian De Palma. So maybe Brian De Palma. Anyway, most overrated of all time. Would not be Chris Nolan, because the Batman movies, you can never take those away from him. Those are by far the best Batman movies, and they're incredible films. It's everything else Chris Nolan does that is like, what? So a new trailer dropped for a film that I didn't even know was being made. And I watched the trailer and I'm like, yeah, that looks great. Look, I don't know if I mean it looks great. Like, when I was walking out of Goodfellas or Reservoir Dogs and I was like, that was great. I don't know if I mean like that. It looks really interesting. It looks like something that I'd be like, oh, I want to see that. Okay, I'll watch that. So how does this fit into the Dick of the Day ceremony that we conduct every day here on whatever this is? Well, here's the deal. It's being presented, at least how I saw it, how it came across my Twitter feed. It was being presented as political. Like, this is a movie for MAGA. Yeah, that's how it's presented. It's like, it actually is presented with, the liberals are losing their mind over this. So today's Dick of the Day is anybody who thinks that. Anybody who thinks that this is a political movie and that the libs are like, I wouldn't see that movie. That's just stupid. Now, again, I tell you, I think this movie it's a biography. It's another one of these biopics. We've seen a lot of them. What is the most popular? I guess Queens, the Freddie Mercury one, right? Whatever that was called. The kid from Mr. Computer or whatever, he was good. But then they all kind of, like the Springsteen one, I really loved the Springsteen movie. But that was a movie that was made for people who are nerds about that particular era of him and how he wrote those two albums back to back. Two albums at the same time. Anyway, but I can see why it wasn't a popcorn movie. It's probably boring as hell for anybody who, doesn't love the Nebraska album. The Elton John one was bad. Anyway, so there's a new biopic about an icon that is apparently being claimed by the right as theirs and theirs alone, and I'm not here for it. I want to share with you now this new, again, I don't know anything about this. I just saw this today. I can't believe it. The left has failed is what this dick here says in posting this new movie. All right, again, I don't want to give it away to you. Here we go. Check this out. This is a movie called I Am Rocky, and it's the story of Sylvester Stallone, which, fuck your politics, it is an incredible story. If you don't know Sylvester Stallone's story about how he got Rocky made, well, that's on you. But it is absolutely a tale worth telling, and something that, I hadn't really I think when I think of like the big biopics, I think Michael, I think Freddie Mercury, right? Music. I'm like, why not actors? There are some incredibly cool stories about actors and how they came to be and all that. Origin stories about actors. But apparently I'm not allowed to enjoy this because some dicks out there are suddenly claiming that Sylvester Stallone is the possession of MAGA and MAGA alone. Let's watch this. New film, only in theaters in November, it says, and I know nothing about it. I Am Rocky.
Name, I'm Mike. Acting's what I live and breathe for. And I gotta have faith in myself.
You need to show everyone who you are.
I like this girl, Sylvester.
Sylvester?
That's right, his real name.
It's got a nice ring to it. Sylvester Stallone. It's like Peter Parker.
Are you delusional? You don't got the looks to be a movie star. Not to mention, you talk like you got rocks in your mouth.
Yeah, I know I don't look like Einstein, but I got a brain. The only way for me to get to show people is I'm gonna have to write a script for myself.
Yeah, so do that. Write a script. And give yourself the best part. There's something big here.
You wrote this in 3.5 days. This is freaking good. To have someone like Chuck Bronson, or we could do Eastwood.
Guys, I play Rocky.
I have no idea what that means.
So the writer wants to be in it, as the lead. No, absolutely not. Throw some money at it. 25K.
No.
Raise the offer. Try 75. You're parking cars, for Christ's sake, Sylvester.
No.
175.
Go to 200.
No?
I'm not giving this up. Not for $1 million. Not for 10. Hey.
All right, now if you do this, comes with some strings. If you ever fall one day behind schedule,
The meat's frozen solid.
they're gonna kick you to the curb,
You broke your hand.
and they can replace you with a real actor.
I don't even know what I'm doing is any good.
Just do the best acting of your life and everything will be fine.
How far behind schedule are they?
They're not.
This movie is about having a belief in yourself. It's about going the distance. I put my heart and soul on the page. If I'm not willing to live up to what I wrote, then what's the point? So you believe in me? Or not? I thought you said you could box.
All right. Let go of the head! I'm an actor, goddammit. You always lie.
Yeah.
Oh my God, my little Gen X heart is singing. Don't you tell me that I can't love Sylvester Stallone because he's MAGA or something. You, sir, are our dick of the day. Bo Loudon. That's the dude who said that I'm not allowed to see this movie and that I'm losing my mind over it because I'm not MAGA. Anybody who's not MAGA politicizing the icons of my youth will not stand. I shall not abide. Maddie's still up there. Why do we have Maddie still? I got Maddie's name still up there. Well, here we go. Okay. Why the fuck do I care about a guy who played an iconic character from my childhood? Why should I care how he votes? That's what I don't get. That's the whole point, right? Nobody gives a shit. I don't want to know how any of my actor heroes or musical icons, I don't need to know how they vote. Most of them I can just kind of figure it out. Anyway, that looks awesome. And if you're depriving yourself of, first of all, you may not be like me, right? You may not be a man in his 50s who grew up every weekend going to the latest Stallone movie. Okay, so maybe it's not the same thing for you. I don't know. I don't give a fuck who's MAGA and who is it. All right. Anyway, there you go. That's an indication that maybe you're depriving yourself of, a happy life. If you're one of these people who thinks that movie, a movie about Sylvester Stallone, could only be for one group of people. We're sick. We're twisted. All right, let's go now. World Cup is all set, right? The World Cup is set. Spain and Argentina. I guess Argentina defeated England yesterday, and there's some big dust up about the Falkland Islands. Did you see that? Whole bunch of Argentinian players took to the field, and they had one of those, like at a protest, the bed sheet that's spray painted. They had something like that, and it said something like, "Hey, fuck you, England. The Falklands are ours." Oh, and England's all, we need them suspended. So there's some talk that maybe there's going to be some kind of repercussion against the players for Argentina who were involved in that. We'll cover all that tomorrow with Aaron. I'm going to try and get Aaron on tomorrow. So he'll tell me about what's happening with Argentina and Spain. They will fight to the death. Isn't that how World Cup works? Fight to the I don't know. They're going to play. I don't know when. Maybe Sunday? Suppose I'll watch it. I would have liked it better if it was like England and or not England and Argentina, but wait, who did I want? I wanted England. Whatever, it doesn't matter. I don't really have a horse in this race. What we do know is that it's going to be Spain and Argentina. Let's do, we already did that. Let me see here. Let's do 3 videos, okay? All right. 3 videos. Here. Actually, is this one of the 3 videos? I don't know if this is one of the 3 videos. It's a story that I wanted to do. I wanted to talk about the Blue Angels. Did you hear about the Blue Angels story? Here, we'll do it really quick. So this happened on some beach in Florida, right? The Blue Angels, they buzzed a beach, which, you know, if you're lame, you might think is problematic. But if you're cool like me, you'd be like, that was the most awesome day at the beach ever. All right, so here's what the Blue Angels did on a beach in Florida. Here we go. Now watch this jet wash. Oh! You can't do that! You can't do that's fucking cool, man. And anybody on that beach would have been like, I'm so glad they did that. Of course, you're not allowed to do that because of woke bullshit. I'm kidding. I don't know if it's woke. But yeah, you can't do it because, you know, safety. And yeah, something could go wrong. Well, I don't know if anything went wrong there. Anyway, those Blue Angel pilots, they're in trouble now. They're in trouble for giving this little girl a memory she will never I just can't see the little girl now. There was a little girl there. I was going to do that story, but I don't want to. Anyway, just stop complaining about everything. You know, that was cool. The Blue Angels, they came too close. They, you know, gave people a thrill. Instead of being lame all the way far away, you just wish they'd come close so you could see. All right, let's do 3 videos. Here you go. 3 videos. This is the start of it. We focused on this kid a couple of weeks back when he won his high school. He's not his high school, his middle school's talent contest. Remember the kid who did the bird noises? Well, he's turned into a bit of an internet sensation. He's now putting out videos of his own, which of course he would. Why wouldn't he? Here he is. How about the latest from? Oh, I got too many windows open, guys. I got too many windows. There he is. Okay. Let's give this kid a listen. This is the bird kid.
This is Bird Request Part 2.
Part 2.
And let's get started.
Yeah. Okay. He's awesome. This kid is awesome. But there's something, right? I mean, he's awesome. This kid's awesome. But something's, you know, seems nice. He seems nice, this kid.
First we get the barn owl. Next, the ring-necked dove. Next, the American woodcock. Meep, meep, meep.
All right. Yeah, he's got some ticks going on there. All right. I love him. He's the bird noise kid. He's all over Twitter, and he's back with more videos. So we'll look forward to whatever he has to offer us in the future. That's video number 1 in today's, well, 3 videos. Here's the second one. Let's stay with the animal kingdom. Although that wasn't really the animal kingdom, but you know what I mean. It was animal kingdom related. Here's a golfer. You see this going around? They're golfing. I don't know where they're golfing. I mean, I suppose there's a lot of golf courses that are adjacent to like bear territory. There's a guy they're golfing, and there's a bear going through their cart. Like they park their cart, they're gonna putt, and a bear shows up, and a bear starts going through the cart. And they're not running. I don't understand why they're filming. They're filming this bear. Anyway, watch this. This is amazing. I would be fucking whoop, 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 whoop. I would be running. Are you kidding me? Here, check this out. These people, they think this is hysterical.
Hey, bear. Hey, bear. Hey, bear. Hey, bear. He's right now. Damn it. Oh, my God. Bear, get off my golf clubs, please. Please. Oh, he's ripping my bag. Bear.
What? This isn't like a bunny rabbit or the neighbor's dog. This is a fucking wild bear, and this guy is getting called. The bear even stopped at one point and looked at him and went, "You know I'm a bear, right? You know I'm a bear. I mean, yeah, I know these are your clubs, but you know I'm a bear, right?"
No, stop. Oh my God, he's gonna, oh.
That's just raw strength right there. I'm telling you, I couldn't do that. Maybe I could. Maybe maybe those things were hastily put together, and but that I want to believe that is raw bear strength. You're laughing. I mean, if this thing, look at this guy right here. This guy right here, if this thing just, because, wild animals and whatnot, if this thing just decides to look, snort, and charge, this guy is dead. This thing will absolutely maul this dude. Somebody better have a shotgun. Like one of the guys off camera better have a big, giant shotgun.
Oh my God. Oh,
there it goes.
Oh, no.
Yeah, don't chase it, stupid. Don't. I mean, it's funny. There he goes. That is not a little bear either. Look at that thing. That is a real bear. Yeah, Jesus, I ain't golfing at this place.
Those are my clubs, man. Give me my clubs back, bear.
He's struggling with them. What has he got? Like a bag of chips in there? There is something. Here's what's going on. There is something in that bag that bear wants, and it's buried in one of the golf pockets. And the bear didn't like that these people didn't seem to be afraid of his mere presence. So the bear decided to just take the bag and then, go to his little house, his little bear house. I believe it's called a den. He's going to go to Bear's Den, and then he's going to figure out how he can get the Snickers bar that is like buried at the bottom of this thing. He just felt a little exposed doing it right there in front of everybody, but he's going to get that fucking Snickers bar, and this dude's clubs are never coming back.
Oh, come on. Oh. There.
I seriously want to know what he had in his clubs. I want to know, because there's food in there. I had a bacon sandwich. Well, that'll do it. All right, bear steals clubs. How about this one? Here's a little, this isn't animal related, although I guess it depends on what you think of. Former Guns N' Roses guitar player Slash went to some fancy, this is the third of our 3 videos. Slash went to some, I don't know, one of these Hollywood VIP kind of one-time only red carpet kind of deals. And he got rejected. Slash got rejected. And apparently there were people there, paparazzi, who were telling the security, that's Slash. How come you're not, you got to let Slash in, that's Slash. But I would never in a million years have recognized this guy as Slash. If you had told me that this guy, oh yeah, that guy used to be a roadie for Guns, maybe, but honestly, without the top hat and, I don't know that Slash, there were a lot of dudes who, after the rise of Slash, there were a lot of dudes who went with that look. A lot of dudes, similar looks, the curly hair and all. So I wouldn't know immediately that this is Slash. Would you? Let's look. Here's Slash getting rejected and handling it the way you would think Slash would. Pretty cool. All right, here he comes. Look at him. First of all, I got to be honest. Slash looks great. He's like 5 to 10 years older than me, right? Slash, maybe not that old, but Slash looks great.
And Slash. Dude, you can't do that to Slash, dude. Are you serious?
What?
They just made Slash go around.
That doesn't look like Slash to me. I mean, you could go, they just made Gene Simmons walk around and I'd be like, yeah, that's Gene. Yeah, that looks like Gene Simmons. I don't know that we can fault these security guys for not immediately recognizing him for the rock and roll god that Slash most assuredly is. These people, I can't believe they don't recognize Slash, who hasn't been in the news in 20 years and is now a good 30 years older than what we remember him from his prime. I can't believe they didn't recognize him.
Dude, you can't do that to Slash, dude. Are you serious?
What?
They just made Slash go around. What the f?
That's Slash?
Yes! Slash, go get him!
Hit him.
Are you guys serious? Do you know who you just did that to? Just kidding.
The guy don't care. He's like, whatever. I don't know. Who did I just do that to? He didn't really push the issue. He said, you have a pass? He said, no, I don't. And he left. Oh, one more time.
Dude, you can't do that to Slash, dude. Are you serious? Dude, they just made Slash.
Dude, you can't do that to Slash, dude. Are you serious? That person's probably in their 60s. That's probably anybody who would, like, you know, recognize or is that attached to Slash that they would recognize him on July the 15th, 2026 with cold eyes. That's Slash. That is clearly Slash. You know, that person's got to be in their 60s. It's like, you can't do that, dude. All right, that's 3 videos. 3 videos. Now, today, we're going to end with a special edition of Can't Beat Fun at the Old Ballpark. Why? Well, because there's not a lot of fun happening at ballparks because we're in this horrible 2-day break we all must suffer through after the All-Star game. Baseball returns tomorrow. Very good. Back to normal. I don't know what to do with myself. Tonight, I'm going to watch The President and do a stream with Maddie. So here's a little, every day we end the show with Can't Beat Fun at the Old Ballpark. It's usually a little video of people having fun, and then I give you a little commentary and all that. But today, a little something different. This is a 10-minute video that I found that I was watching, and I'm not going to make you watch the full 10-minute video, but as I said, I'll share it here on Twitter. So if you want to watch it, it is crazy. It covers the cocaine era of baseball. Now, I don't know if you're not a certain age, you maybe don't remember when everybody in baseball was on cocaine. Everybody. And nobody would quit. We had a guy. There was a guy. Remember, what was his name? I can't think of his name right now. I'm too old. There was a guy with the New York Yankees. He was like the best pitcher in baseball, and he got busted on cocaine like 9 times. You had guys like Doc Gooden and Darryl Strawberry, 2 generational type talents who were just always doing coke. Keith Hernandez, I believe, won a World Series and an MVP during a season where he now admits he did cocaine every game. Players were running around with cocaine in their socks, doing it openly. Oh, it was crazy times. So anyway, this video sort of addresses that. We're going to watch just a little bit of it. We don't have to watch the whole thing. Again, it's 10 minutes, but I just want to give you a little taste of the kind of shit that was normalized when I was a little kid watching baseball. And maybe this speaks to the reason why I just love baseball so much, because this shit is insane. Here we go. Let's take a little trip down memory lane, or maybe a trip in the Wayback Machine, whatever you prefer. Let's remember baseball's cocaine era.
And their anti-drug messaging, MLB released an anti-drug film in 1972, highlighting the horrors of drug use. Keith Hernandez says he did so much cocaine one season, he doesn't remember the entire year. Lonnie Smith played with socks with pockets in them so he could have cocaine on him during the game. Tim Raines said he would slide head first because he played with a vial of coke in his back pocket. Snorted more than $40,000 worth of cocaine in a year, while leading the league with 78 steals that year. Lonnie Smith led the league in runs and was second.
See, that's the thing about this. All of these guys, they had career years. They hit better. They fielded better. It was the stolen base era back then. And everybody was fucking just in between innings, just all coked up out of their mind. It was some of the most exciting baseball. If we could have coupled the cocaine era with the steroid era, that baseball would have never faced the rough patch it faced in the late 90s through the early 2000s. Seriously.
An MVP while having coke in his socks, and the year Keith Hernandez doesn't remember, he was an all-star, led the league in on-base percentage, won a Gold Glove, won a Silver Slugger, and smoked cigarettes in the dugout the entire time.
We've turned the corner on drug addiction in the United States. Drug addiction in the United States is under control.
Drug addiction in the United States was not under control.
Top story tonight, cocaine.
Cocaine is now becoming the in drug.
In 1972, 1.5% of the population was on cocaine. That number was nearly 5 times higher just 5 years later in 1977. The usage doubled in 1 year in 1983.
Say hello to my little friend.
And by 1985, ages 18 to 25, 28% of the population has used cocaine before.
All the people you ever heard of freebasing, have you ever heard of anybody blowing up? 10 million motherfuckers freebase. I gotta blow up.
One player estimated that 40% of the league was on the drug by the early 80s. Manager Whitey Herzog says he would make his team fly into certain road trips the day of the game instead of the night before, just so his players would play at least one game not hungover. Daryl Porter had the best season of his career, putting up an OPS plus of 142.
All right, so that was Cardinals manager, Cardinals great Whitey Herzog, talking about how, yeah, we used to make sure that we would fly in day of games so that my players wouldn't be playing hungover instead of flying in the night before. Whitey Herzog and the Cardinals were dominant back then. Those teams were winning teams. They were very good. It's not like we're like, hey, remember the cocaine era where everybody who was accused of doing cocaine had career low seasons and were drummed out of professional baseball? No, because that didn't happen. People just got really good at baseball once they started doing cocaine every game.
Led the league in runs, won a Gold Glove, got
here's the Daryl Porter story.
At least one game not hungover. Daryl Porter had the best season of his career, putting up an OPS plus of 142. Led the league in runs, won a Gold Glove, got third in MVP voting, and one game climbed over the dugout and punched a fan in the face because he was taunting him from the stands.
Say no to drugs. Baseball cares.
According to him, he also did a gram of cocaine a day throughout the entire season. That offseason, he became paranoid, became convinced the commissioner of baseball was trying to sneak into his house so he could ban him from the league. Porter sat up all night, watching out his window, wielding a shotgun and a billiard ball, waiting for the commissioner to arrive. The commissioner did not arrive, but the party would soon be over.
Drugs are menacing our society.
Yes, they are.
They're threatening our values and undercutting our institutions. They're killing our children.
Lonnie Smith, famous for hiding cocaine in the pockets of his socks, got mad at the Flea Fanatic one game, fought the Fanatic, tackled him to the ground, spraining both of the mascot's ankles. Fans were so angry, they booed him and threw things at him in the outfield.
All right, there you go. We
By
don't.
himself.
That's the cocaine era of baseball, man. That was crazy. And like people used to talk about it, like, oh, they're all doing cocaine. Like I remember as a little kid, I'm like, what, really? Did I test for that? Sometimes. Do you know how hard it must have been in 1981 to get popped for cocaine use if you were a Major League Baseball player? Because cocaine, unlike marijuana, they'll get you for marijuana. Marijuana will stay in your system and you can be test hot for marijuana weeks, months. It stays, right? It's very clingy. Cocaine is 24 hours. If you do cocaine on Saturday night and you have a test for cocaine on Monday, you'll pass it. It goes right through your system. So think about the players who just consistently kept getting popped because it also wasn't surprise tests. It was like, okay, next week we're going to give you a cocaine test. What were these guys doing? Cocaine on their way into the test? It's crazy. Anyway, that's a fun video. I'm going to share that on Twitter if anybody wants to watch the full 10 minutes. It's revisiting the cocaine era of Major League Baseball, 1977 through about 1983-84. Maybe even a little bit later than that, maybe even stretching into, there were some late bloomers. There were some people who didn't really get to exist in the prime cocaine era. These are the Johnny-come-latelys I'm talking about, the Derek, the Dwight Goodens and the Darryl Strawberries. Keith Hernandez, he got to enjoy the prime cocaine era. Anyway. Norm Van Leer, who played for the Chicago Bulls, once told me that, didn't once play for the Chicago Bulls. I'm sorry. Norm Van Leer is a Chicago Bull legend. I produced his Bulls post-game show a number of years ago, and he was one of my favorite people, and he used to tell me these stories about the old days of the NBA. And he told me that most of the Bulls play, the favorite team that the Bulls would play would be the Milwaukee Bucks, because back in those days, the Chicago Bulls would just load up on a bus and they'd drive for an hour and a half or an hour or whatever it was to Milwaukee and play the Bucks that night and then drive back. And he said, if you look back, you could see that we never beat the Milwaukee Bucks when we played there, because the whole ride up, all we were doing was blow and booze, and we played drunk. 70s, man. And then you get, you hear the stories about, Babe Ruth being a womanizer and a drunk and all that. That shit really was the norm for American professional athletes up until probably what, mid 80s, 1990. That's when we started, we need them to be good. They were never good. Hell, Ty Cobb killed a man, a black man, for being black, I think. I don't know. I'm not sure. A lot of people have thoughts on Ty Cobb. Did you know that Babe Ruth was black? He was. Look it up. Guys, that's it. That's it for the show. We're going to be back tomorrow at noon. I do want to one more time today thank our heroes, our July heroes. These are the folks that help us keep the show going. Tracy D, Maddie multiple times. Peter, we got Barnsey, Mama B, thank you, ma'am. Mikey D, Leslie C, thank you to everybody. Please add your name to the list. We could use a little bit of help. You can do that by supporting the show with a little bit of a tip. Drop it in the Cash App, drop it in the Venmo. I will be eternally thankful. Most importantly, let's all stay collectively calm, right? Whatever happens tonight, Trump's, it's going to be crazy. We're going to watch it, right? I hope so. I love you guys. We'll be back here tomorrow at noon. Oh, tomorrow might be difficult. I'm planning on doing, as of right now, a show at noon tomorrow. See you then. And remember, stay neighborly. Bye, folks.